Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Still trying to get this situated here. Let me get some of these. All right. Oh. And my charger's not working. Of course not. That's okay. It's okay. We'll figure it out. Still not working. All right. That's okay. Well, anyways, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you are all having a wonderful Shabbat so far. We're going to be back in Genesis and in Daniel, if you guys want to get your Bibles ready. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Ken. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. We're going to give it a few minutes here. Let some people join into the live stream. Shabbat Shalom, Holly. Good to see you, sister. Hope you're doing well. Brother Colton. Shabbat Shalom. Hope you're all doing wonderful today, as best as you can in this world. Hey, Marcella, Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for joining. I'm happy it's Shabbat too, and I'm hoping and praying that we all get to spend that millennial Shabbat together and actually break bread, not just online. By the way, I think the millennial Shabbat's probably pretty soon. Well, that's the way it's looking in this world, anyways. If there's any questions, comments, concerns you guys have, please feel free to drop it in the chat while we hang out and wait for our brothers and sisters who are late. Just kidding. Have y'all gotten some rest? You know what? Not really. I'm just being honest. No, not really. A couple of days ago, I got a decent night's rest, which was much needed, but last couple of nights I haven't got much sleep, and then before that I don't even remember the last time I woke up and I was like, I'm refreshed and I feel like I've gotten a perfect night's sleep. Like, it's been a while. It's been a while. I don't know if it's just circumstances or me, just my brain just realizing like where we're at in the timeline of the Bible. I'm not sure, but I've not been sleeping well. I wouldn't mind a couple of prayers for that, for whoever's watching. I'll keep you guys in my prayers as well. I'll go over some housekeeping stuff here in a few minutes once everybody joins in. But we got a couple of things to talk about in that regard. Let's see here. All right. Love you guys. Hope you're all having a wonderful Shabbat. Anything you guys want to talk about? Now's a good time. Holly's got a praise report. Okay, your health is doing a little bit better. Great. Yes, we'll keep you in continued prayers, but I'm glad to hear a little bit of your burden has been eased. I do believe we need to share each other's burdens, and I think we can. I'm not sure how it works, maybe just submitting to it before the Most High. But we need to share each other's burdens as much as possible, because it is way too much for one person to bear. And that's just like our regular stuff. I can't even imagine what Messiah Yeshua went through. Like, I cannot. But, your leg is better. Good. Or your leg is butter. I don't know if it's butter or better. Hopefully it's not butter. I don't want it to melt away. But I hope you're doing better, brother. I'm glad to hear it. Good. Got a couple of praise reports. I'll try to update that on the email, which, by the way, I do have quite a few emails that I am behind on from you guys. So the prayer list is going to need to be updated and sent out soon. I think I have 6-7 emails that I need to go through. So if you haven't seen your information on the updated one, or if I'm not directly mentioning your, what you requested in the live stream, I apologize. Just a few emails behind. I will try to get to those as soon as I can. Get your Bibles ready. We're going to be in Genesis 37. Genesis 37. So if you guys want to get prepared, get your Bibles geared up, ready to go. We'll start in Genesis 37 here in just a few minutes. I always feel bad for my YouTube folks. You just gotta sit there for 10 minutes, watch me stare with like a blank look on my face. Sorry, trying to look at comments here, or lack thereof. Sometimes it depends on the day. Yeah, I saw that hurricane hitting Hawaii, or it's the outskirts of it now. They're expecting big flooding and mudslides. Crazy, right? It's historic everything. They keep saying like, oh, this is crazy. This is historic. We've never seen this before. And then at the end of it, they're just like, oh, it's just climate change. And it's like, ugh. Yeah, the Bible beat you to the climate change thing by thousands of years. So this is judgment from Yah. And their excuses are making it worse. Like, just like it says would happen in Revelation, that he would send the curses on them, he would send the judgments on them, they would be terrified, and yet they would not repent. They would keep on doing wrong. And that's exactly what's happening. Like, it's exactly what's happening. They're all just believing the lies. They're not like, oh, hey, maybe that Bible was right. Actually, it's been right, I don't know, thousands and thousands of times already. It's crazy. Yeah, some fires in countries too. And you know what, Holly, I know we actually talked to you last night about this, but for everybody else in here, I wanted to share what it's saying. I have a study through this on my YouTube, Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. I need to go back and do a new one because it's hitting harder now, to be honest with you guys. But started reading through this, and it was interesting. This is in the Testament of Levi. And this is in the it's in like verse 4, I believe. Anyways, this is what it says. Now therefore know that the Most High shall execute judgment on the sons of men. And remember, this was written thousands of years ago. This was written before Egypt, and it was preserved. Now, we don't have manuscripts dating back to Egypt because they were all destroyed in the Babylonian and Assyrian takeovers. But there are manuscripts of these that were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls that predate even Yeshua, which is crazy if you've ever actually read this, because it's most certainly undeniably prophesying about Yeshua. And again, we have manuscripts that are like 150 years before Yeshua came. So, but anyways, this is Levi again, and Yah gave him the judgment in the priesthood. So of course he's going to tell him about the judgments on mankind. But again, let's start over. Now therefore, know that the Most High shall execute judgment upon the sons of men, because when the rocks are being rent, and if you look up like, what does it mean when the rocks are rent? It basically means when they're being shattered and destroyed and shaken. So earthquakes, volcanoes, and again, I don't know if you guys are following what's going on in the world, but there's an earthquake, like a major one, like virtually every day, it seems like. At least like one a week. I mean, there's a 7.7 that just hit in Indonesia, and then on the same day later, it was a 6.9 that hit. There was the 7-something in Colombia, 2 7-somethings in Venezuela, and 7. It's all 7s. The big ones are 7s. It's like he's letting us know that the 7,000th year is about to start. We're at the end of this age, right? It's coming to fruition. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it, but he's sending signs on the world and people ain't listening. But anyways, Because when the rocks are being rent, destroyed, shaken, which it's happening right now in historic, I quote, historic, unprecedented things, and the sun quenched, and this is interesting too. If you go look, I follow some like geophysicists on YouTube just out of pure curiosity, and they're saying the sun is starting to cool. It is in a cycle. That's what they say. Oh, it's just a cooling cycle. You know, it doesn't seem like the Earth is cooling any, you know, even though they're trying to global warming. But anyways, they're saying that the sun is starting to cool, right? So the sun is being quenched, starting to cool. And the water's dried up. Again, if you look around the world, and this is not just in apocryphal writings, by the way. You can find this in the Bible canon. But when the waters are dried up, look everywhere. Go look for this if you haven't. There are major droughts in every country, unprecedented droughts. People are concerned. In the United States, in the West, like dams they're talking about bringing them down because there's not enough water. Lake Mead, all of them, these like 7 states are fighting over water rights. In Europe, they're having droughts like crazy. Like crazy. They've never seen droughts like this ever. In the Middle East, same thing. Euphrates drying up, Tigris drying up. The water's starting to get dried up everywhere. Everywhere. And again, interesting, I just saw one last night or was it earlier? No, it was last night. That in Europe, like somewhere near Rome, I think, the water levels are so low in this river, I can't remember the name, but it's a big one, that a bridge from Emperor Nero got exposed, like a bridge that he built, which is interesting too, because a lot of people think that Nero played a part in Revelation, because Revelation is seemingly been playing out for a long time. Like there are certain parts of Revelation that appear to have already been fulfilled. And again, I'm not going to get into all that, but either way, it's not insignificant. So when the waters are being dried up and the fires cowering, these fires everywhere, and look around. Canada, unprecedented wildfires. United States, unprecedented wildfires. Germany, Spain, Croatia, unprecedented wildfires everywhere. Everywhere. So all these things are happening, and all creation troubled. Who's not troubled right now? Who is not troubled right now? Everybody's troubled, right? And Hades taketh spoils through the visitations of the Most High. People are dying. Men will be unbelieving, shocker, and persist in their iniquity. Look around. It's exactly all of this, exactly happening right now, and happening on a level that it's never, ever, ever happened before. And the timing could not be more significant. Could not be more significant. Nearly 2,000 years after Messiah Yeshua, right at the end of the 6th day, the 6,000th year of documented human history. They all want to say, oh, we're millions, billions. There's no proof. There's none. There's none. Anything touched by man can be corrupted. The Bible's been spot on, though. So anyways, they'll persist in their iniquity. Exactly what's going on right now. Exactly what it says will happen in Revelation. On this account, with punishment shall they be judged. Therefore, the Most High has heard your prayer to separate you from iniquity. All right, so we need to separate ourselves from iniquity to the best of our ability. I don't know if any of us are doing it perfectly. Certainly, there is more to be learned in our walks, but we need to do our best to separate ourselves from iniquity. And I was reading in this book about envy and fornication, and it was saying just what Proverbs says, that you can't even depart from you cannot stop envy, you cannot stop the spirit of fornication without the fear of Yah. You can't. Again, you'll find that all over Proverbs. You'll find it in Psalms. You need to understand that there's judgments and consequences, and big ones. And then when you do that, finally, some of these chains of sin can be broken on you. But look at what happens with these doctrines that Jesus paid for it all. They're not even trying to stop any of these sins, and big ones. And even if you cut out what the Old Testament says, the New Testament, if you judge them solely based off the New Testament, which honestly tells you to follow the commandments in the Torah all over the place, but even if you just went off the New Testament, they're breaking some grievous laws that were given. Again, they were given in the front of the book. But again, even if we take the Old Testament out, they're breaking grievous laws that in the New Testament says, if you do these things, we'll keep you out of the kingdom. Right? It's his words, not mine. Right? And I'm not anybody's judge. I've not been appointed judge over anybody. I have no say in anybody's salvation. But you need to realize that nobody else does either. Nobody can say that you are saved on this earth. The only person that can do that is Messiah Yeshua. He is the only person. Right? But if I'm just going strictly off what the Bible says and I'm looking at the fruit that they're bearing, I'm looking at what the world is doing, they are doing things that the Bible says will keep you out of his kingdom. That's just a fact. Right? You can either acknowledge it and work on yourself or not. And I have no say in anyone's salvation. I have no bearing in any of that. But I acknowledge what the book says. And it's pretty terrifying when you really look at what this world is doing, what the people that profess to believe in Yah are doing. And it doesn't even matter what denomination or what branch of Abrahamic religion. Muslims and all their branches, Jews and all their branches, Christians and all their branches, the vast majority of them are not doing what the book says to do. And again, it's just a fact. Like, I'm not trying to point the finger. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but I mean, it's true. They're all rejecting what the book says. None of them are trying to walk in the way that the Most High has commanded us to walk. And again, I don't know that I'm doing it perfectly, but I want to, and I'm certainly trying, and I'm not trying to sweep anything that he said under the rug. I'm trying to live by it to the best of my ability. I'm trying to practice his righteousness, not my own, not my church's, not my favorite pastors or preachers' definition of righteousness, his definition of righteousness, which was never changed in the New Testament, not one time, not even by Paul. And if it was changed by Paul, you really shouldn't listen to the guy, but he didn't. He didn't. A lot of people often come to me about my stance on Paul, and you know what? I can read Paul in a way where he complements the rest of Scripture and doesn't take away from it. And that's why I believe James and Peter stood up for Paul, albeit hard to understand, albeit the warning about him, albeit some serious red flags about stuff. But I can see how he was being used as a Deuteronomy 13 test. I can see how you can read him in a way that betters your walk, but I can see how you can read him in a way that takes you right off the path. And you should be very cautious about that, because if anyone comes preaching a new way of salvation, a new doctrine, then according to the Bible, they are a false preacher, false prophet. And if they were sent by God, they were sent by God as a test to you to see what your heart posture is. If you'd continue to obey the Most High and walk in his way, or if you'd say, oh, look, finally, I got an excuse. Now I can rest in this excuse and I can do what I wanted to do and not worry about it. But again, not even Yeshua was preaching new stuff. Like, he literally said he's only preaching what the Most High has commanded already. And I can prove that with Scripture, not my opinions. You know, we need to walk in righteousness. We need to believe in Messiah Yeshua. He is our means of salvation that was prophesied from all the way back in the Torah. I mean, all the way back in the Torah, you can see Yeshua there. So he was prophesied. We need to accept him. He is our means of salvation. He is our high priest. He is the only one who can advocate for us before the Father or make atonement for us. He is the only one. So we should probably listen to him. And you know what he said? Read the Gospels for yourself. Over and over and over again, he said to do what the front of the Bible says. Keep my Father's commandments. Do them like I am doing them. I'm showing you how to walk this out properly. I'm showing you the right way to walk in his commandments. Do it like I'm doing it. That's what he said. He didn't say, oh, no, I'm going to nail it to the cross. Pretty soon, you won't have to worry about any of that stuff. There's a new way now. Like, none of that you'll ever find in the Bible, ever. And yet it's what's being preached, like, by a lot of people. So I don't know about you guys, but I think we should get our doctrine from the word and not from the herd. So I'm just going to read the book and acknowledge what it says. And you know what? If I have an opinion about it, I'll let you know it's an opinion that may or may not be right. Or could be, could not be. You know, at the end of the day, I think we should all be very clear about what the Bible actually says and about what our opinions are on the matter. And far too few people are doing that, in my opinion. So I don't want to be one of them. Anyways. A couple of housekeeping things. I am a few emails behind. I saw that a few more prayer requests and updates have come in, so I've not had a chance to read through them and reply and update the prayer request list. So if you would like to get on the prayer request list, it's the community email list in my TikTok and YouTube link tree. Please join. We send out name studies through there occasionally, or updates for feast days, and we're trying to do this prayer request list and actually try to address people's specific issues, try to bear one another's burdens. So please join. Also, I do want to remind you that there is still a men's Discord group. Only a handful of us are on it and talking, but you know, if you are interested in any type of fellowship, like if you don't have community, which many of us do not, you know, that's a good place for men to meet up and talk about things, ask for prayer. Like I said, there's only not even a handful of us that are still active in there, but I hoped people would use the space. It's still there. If the link is not working for you, just send me an email, sheepdogministries@hotmail.com. I'll send you an updated link so you can join. And if you've already joined, jump back in. Some of us still are chatting, right? And anyways, just quick reminder on that front. Other than that, you know, we are, those of you that are following the calendar, we are on the 23rd day of the 5th month. So we're getting pretty close to the last month of summer. Praise Yah. It's been historic, for lack of a better term. It hasn't been a great summer for most people, I don't think. It's been hot. The bugs have been insane. There's been flooding, tornadoes, like it's, you know, and again, all wake-up calls from Yah. Exactly what he said he was going to do. But anyways, we are on the 23rd day of the 5th month. So keeping track of that calendar. I'm not a calendar, you know, attacker person anymore. If you're on a different calendar, that's fine. You know, you walk out the laws of Yah to the best of your ability and understanding. I'm not going to read you if you're doing that. The men's group. Yes, Brother Colton, men's group on the Discord. So there's a Discord link for a men's group. If you want the information, just reach out to me. I'll send it to you. But it's a nice place for us to chat and hang out and ask questions to one another and get each other's opinions. So, anyways, one more thing. Thank you guys for your prayers. Still got family stuff going on with my mother passing. Not trying to make a woe is me kind of thing. You know, I got a lot of feelings and emotions that I'm trying to work through and don't know how to feel. And I already feel like I've been grieving for and with you guys for the last few weeks, quite frankly. Like it's hard to reconcile when you know the world deserves what's coming to it, but how you also don't want bad things to happen to them, you know, and it says as much in Ezekiel 18, right? The Most High says, I don't desire the death of anyone. But if you are doing these things, you can't be with me. You can't be around me, you know? So, anyways, just trying to grapple with my own feelings and grief over, you know, people that I know that have rejected the way of the Most High and people that are walking in not good ways. And so it's just hard, but I really think I mean, honestly, you guys, judgment could be any day. Judgment on this world could literally be any day. And it says in the Bible that it's going to come like a thief in the night. No one is going to be prepared. It's going to be just like the days of Noah until the day of the flood. They were all eating, drinking, getting married, having fun, talking about their future. And that's exactly what these people are doing, despite all of the incredible warning signs and prophecies being fulfilled in the world. That's just overwhelming. Like, it is overwhelming. And people are ignoring those things. So it's sad. It's heartbreaking. You know, we all get a choice, and I don't know why they don't want to make, and again, not my place to say what the right choice is, but it is the right choice to follow the commandments of the Most High and to literally walk in the footsteps of Messiah Yeshua. That is the right way. And it is good when we do it. Like, literally, I was reading in the Torah, and I can't remember. It was like Deuteronomy 13, 14 in that neighborhood. And he was talking about how to treat, slaves, basically the people working for you, because that's what we are. If you have a job, you're a slave. They might not call you a slave, but you're a slave, right? So he was talking about how to treat those people, and he's saying, like, look, be good to these people, and when you release them, because you're supposed to release them, like on the 7th year or every 50th year, the Shemitah year, the Jubilee year, all debt's wiped out. That means slaves are no longer slaves. Their debt to you has been paid. You have no more crushing debt. The note for your house or your whatever you borrowed is wiped out. If we all lived by the Torah, there would never ever be crushing debt in the world. Never. Right? And it's like, why don't you want to live by this? But anyways, in that part of the Torah, he said, if you do this, there will never be anyone poor among you. And it's just like, we all know that there is a problem. Like there's poverty everywhere. There's people that don't have a place to live. There's people that don't have food or clothing, can't get a job because their circumstances are bad, or they have a criminal record and no one will hire them, and it's like, if we listen to the Most High, none of that would exist. None of it. What sounds so bad about living by the Torah to people who already claim to love and worship and believe in the God of the Bible? I don't understand it. And then which parts of the Torah about working on yourself are so bad? Do you want people to be greedy? Do you want to be greedy? Do you want people to be adulterous towards your wife? Like, do you want people to treat you like you're nothing, like you're a dog? Like, do you want people to lie to you? Do you want people to defraud you and cheat you? Like, are those things you want? Then why, like, if you all acknowledge that these things are issues in the world, why doesn't anybody want to participate in the solution, which is the Torah? It is. Undeniably, it's the Torah. And nobody that claims to love, worship, and honor God, not nobody, but at least the Abrahamic religions, the main pillars of this faith, like, they don't want to do these things. Like, if everybody listened to the Most High's commandments in the Torah, like, this world would be an instantly better place. Instantly. There wouldn't be lying, cheating. There wouldn't be robbery. There wouldn't be fraud. There wouldn't be price gouging. There wouldn't be inflation. There wouldn't be taxation to death. There wouldn't be like, oh, well, I am going to use all the power of the government to take you from your land so I can put an airport or a strip mall here, which they do all the time. No one could take your land if we were living by the Torah. Nobody. Like, and you see the injustice all the time on the news. Come in, eminent domain. We're going to build a football stadium here. Bye. We're going to give you fair market value and kick you out. Like, what's so wrong about living by the Torah? Like, I just don't understand. I really don't. Like, I wish we would all live by it. And it's what Messiah Yeshua commanded us to do in the New Testament. That is not my opinion. He literally straight up said, do and observe everything found in the books of Moses. He went as far as to say, if you don't believe what's written in the books of Moses, you don't believe in me. That's what he said. That's not my opinion. John 5:46 through 47, Matthew 23, 1 through 3. And then all the excuses pop up with people. Oh, no, that was just for the Jews. Really? Because it wouldn't benefit us all to live and walk by this? And by the way, that's not what it says in the New Testament either. Matthew 28, 19 through 21, or 19 through 20. He said, go to all the world and preach to them to do everything that I have commanded you to do, which undeniably includes the Torah. Undeniably. And yet we're all out here fighting with each other. No, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do these righteous, holy, and good things. Like, this is what Paul said about the Torah. Romans 7:12. The law is righteous and holy and good. Paul said in Romans chapter 3, do we then nullify the law by our faith? By no means. On the contrary, we are supposed to uphold the law. That's what Paul said. The person that most people in mainstream belief use to justify living a lawless, anti-Torah lifestyle. And it's like, he's like, the commandments, we're supposed to uphold them, and they're righteous and holy and good. And they are. They are. So anyways, enough of my soapbox, but you guys, stuff's going down in the world. And nobody is going to be prepared for when the final shoe drops. It will come very quickly and unexpectedly. And I fear that if people do not wake up before that, their chances of being saved are not what they've been told their whole life it'll be. So again, I'm no one's judge. I have no bearing or say in who enters the kingdom or not. Judgment and mercy is Yeshua's and his alone. Right? The Most High gave that power and authority to him. And I just want to be found doing what he told us to do when the other shoe drops. Honestly, I want to be found doing it every day for the rest of my life. I wish I would never drop the ball ever again. I wish I'd never have an evil thought ever again. I wish I'd never, do any of the things that the Bible says not to do. And I'm going to try. I don't know if I'll succeed, but I'm going to try. And what it says in 1 John 3 is he who practices righteousness is righteous. It doesn't say he who gets it right 100% of the time and never stumbles is. So anyways, we all need to try. And I fear and grieve for the world because I don't think we have much time left. I don't know if it's this year. I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if it's 3 years from now. I don't see how we could get much past a few years from now. Honestly, just with everything going on in the world, I don't see how this whole way of life is unsustainable and it's on the verge of collapse. Any day now, the other shoe could drop. Seriously. In the US, we've been extremely spoiled for a very, very long time. And right now, we're only experiencing mild side effects of what's going on in the world, but it will hit here. It will. With everything going on in the Middle East, with all the natural disasters, it is about to hit here. And people are just, oh, hey, well, in 5 years, I'm going to do this. So once I save up, I'm going to buy this house. And, oh, once I get this thing, and again, I find it interesting too. I was reading this in the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs earlier. I know I'm back up on my soapbox, so sorry, you guys. But, I believe it was Reuben. I think it was Reuben. I could be wrong, but I believe it was Reuben who was saying, look at what humans do. It's like they cut a tree down from the forest and they use part of it to heat their house and warm themselves up. They use part of it to cook their food. And then they carve part of it into an idol and bow down and worship it. And it's the definition of worshiping the creation and not the creator. Because remember, and then people nowadays in mainstream church, they believe the Old Testament's completely null and void. They have fallen to the error of bad and completely unbiblical doctrine. But they think it's all done away with. And when they read it, they're doing it like they're reading a set of instructions for a bookshelf that's already been put together. They're reading it like it doesn't matter anymore. They're just reading it to read it. They're not paying attention to it. They're not acknowledging it. They're not studying it. They're not applying it. In large part, I'm not saying that's everyone, but in large part, that's what people seem to be doing. And, when it talks about having no idols, remember, there's a big one. This is very, very big one. To have no idols, right? They think that was old timey. Oh no, that was just a carved little statue of this goddess or whatever. And, they put it up in their house and we don't do that anymore. So, but it's the problem is you don't realize that you are striving for, you are working, you're killing yourself. You're downtroddening people. You're focusing on getting this thing over what you should really be focusing on, what really matters. It's not about, making money for your children. It's about being there for your children. It's about guiding them. It's about teaching them, right? Having a relationship with them, right? God gave us relationships, right? Now, he didn't give us money. Money is a creation of man, right? I'm not saying money's not used in the Bible, right? It is, but at the end of the day, it's just a thing. It's a thing, right? He gave us everything. He gave us all the building materials for everything that's ever existed in this world. Cars came from, man fashioned it with their own hand. They carved it into an idol, but it came from here. That car wouldn't exist if Yah didn't create us and give us the ability and the materials to make it. And people strive their whole lives for things like cars, right? Or a bigger house or a boat or a whatever it is. And it's you are focusing on that thing more than understanding who even gave you the ability to invent it or use it or whatever. Like, it's literally the definition of worshiping the creation over the creator. And I think a lot of people don't realize that idol that you're bowing down to doesn't have to be, a carved statue of goddess, blah, blah, blah. It's your car. It's your house. It's your job. It's you're focusing all your attention and care on acquiring this thing instead of doing what the Most High asked you to do. He didn't say it's wrong to have money. In fact, he gave many people in the Bible lots of money. And he didn't say that it's wrong to have a car or a big house, but there is a right and a wrong way to do it. And at the end of the day, you need to understand that those things are nothing. They're meaningless. How did our Messiah put it? He put it best. What profit is it to gain the whole world and then lose your soul? Right? What if you die in the biggest house that ever existed on earth? It was made out of diamonds and gold, whatever you think is beautiful and awesome. And then you die in it. You sought your whole life to acquire it. You trampled people to get it. You sold people products that poisoned them, and you knew about it and didn't care because you wanted this. You neglected your wife and your children and your family to acquire these things. What good is it? All right? Now you've ruined your relationships with your family, whether you realize it or not. The only thing that really matters. All right? And you've downtrodden people to get it. And then you get it. And you're not satisfied with it. And then you die in it. And now you don't even get what's to come. You don't get peace. You don't get rest. You don't get joy. These things don't matter, like, at all. They don't. And it's not wrong to have them. It's not. But it can be. It depends on how you were treating the thing, how you're looking at the thing. You got to understand your house isn't worth more than that poor person on the street. Your car isn't worth more than your relationship with your child. Like, it's... Like, I hope this is ringing a bell for somebody listening. But anyways, sorry, off the soapbox. Spent a lot of time rambling. Let's get into Genesis. We're in chapter 37. All right. Jacob settled in the land where his father dwelt, in the land of Canaan. These are the genealogies of Jacob. Joseph was 17 years old when he, being younger, was shepherding the sheep with his brothers, with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, the wives of his father. And Joseph brought down a bad report to Israel, their father. Jacob loved Joseph more than all his sons because he was a son of his old age. I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that, too. This is just my opinion. But reading even, like, one of my favorite ones in this book, the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, is the Testament of Joseph. And he is just the most kind, genuine person that I like. He's up there. He's up. Like, no wonder Yah chose him. This guy, like, you get a lot more in his testament than you do in Genesis. And we're gonna read about it soon. But the thing is, like, Joseph ended up getting, like, his brothers were jealous and they wanted to kill him. Right? But instead of killing him, they sold him into slavery. And Joseph had the chance to come back. The people that bought Joseph, they realized something was off about Joseph. They're like, this guy is not acting or he's not like a slave at all. And they were like, seriously, man, like, are you like somebody? Are you like this? Like, let us know. We'll let you go. We'll take you back to wherever you are. Like, the people who bought him knew. Like, they knew. And Joseph was like, no, it's okay. I'm a slave. He chose not to go back to his family after what they did, to not bring shame on his brothers or potentially have them killed because of it. He didn't want his brothers to be harmed because of what they did to him. That is a big man. That is a big, big, big man. And not only that, when you read about the adulterous woman, like, he goes into much detail about that. And he prayed day and night to be delivered from this adulterous woman who was apparently gorgeous. Apparently, she was just stunningly beautiful and wanted to sleep with Joseph. And she wanted to have her husband killed so that she could be with Joseph. And he prayed and prayed and prayed to be delivered from this situation. And he gets thrown into prison. And you know what he does? He doesn't act like probably how we would act, or be like, yeah, this is not what I had in mind. Like, when is your promise going to come true? When are you going to make me that king you were talking about? Like, so far, they've tried to murder me. They've made me a slave. I've had to fight adultery and people that want to murder me. And now I get thrown into prison. Like, this is not, like, most of us would have broken well before this time, right? But he didn't. He held on to his faith. He believed in the promise of Yah. And you know what he did when he was in prison? It brings a tear to your eye, like when you read about it. He rejoiced. He started dancing and singing and praising Yah in prison because he was delivered from the adulterous woman, just like he asked. Like, what a man. What a man. Like, I would gladly be Joseph's slave. Gladly. I would bend the knee. I would carry his cup. I would sit at his feet. Like, seriously, people like, a slave, and you're going to be a slave. So be it, man. If people like Joseph are running the world, I don't mind being a slave in the world. Like, he was just so good, and this had to start out early. So it might have been he was the youngest. And, like, even I've noticed in my own children, like, the youngest is getting babied the most, like coddled the most. And it's not even because, like, we want to. It's just, like, circumstances. It's just, like, we don't have anywhere else to put her right now. She can't go into the room with my other toddlers yet. They're getting into that crazy toddler, like, woo, like, and we don't want her to get hurt, right? So she's got to stay in our room longer than our other children have had to, and she's getting babied a lot more because of that, right? So this is like, sure, there's something to, the youngest being the baby and being coddled the most, like, so I see it. But I think it was more than that. I think Jacob probably saw his heart. How could you not? How could you not see it? Like, you can start to see those things form early in a person. So I think there was a lot to that, but I think he saw what a great person Joseph was. And how could you not love that? How could you not be so incredibly pleased by that as a father? Looking at your son, your own child, like, if my son grows up and is just a super kind and holy and righteous person, and just genuinely wants to do the right thing, and genuinely wants to be a good person, and just isn't bitter or isn't angry, isn't resentful, like, how could that not please you over the moon? Like, I don't know, like, so anyways, this is just my opinion after reading some extra biblical stuff. I think there's more going on than just he was the youngest and he was being babied. But, regardless of that, even if that was just the case, it doesn't even matter, because Joseph ends up being a super awesome person. So I hope and pray I get to meet him. And if I'm a slave in the kingdom, I'd gladly be one for Daniel or Joseph or Noah or Abraham or Jacob or any of them, any of the disciples, any of the prophets. Gladly, I'll bend the knee. Like, so, anyways, he made him a many-colored tunic. Very interesting, and it was hard to come by back in the day. You couldn't just go down to Target, and by the way, I don't go to that store, but you couldn't just go down to any store, thrift store, or whatever, and pick up, hey, I want a blue coat. Like, that didn't exist back then. It was very hard to come by this stuff. So I could see how it could make somebody jealous, right? But we need to fight jealousy. Remember, that's a big one, big one in the Bible. And interestingly, they talk about it in the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. They talk about what they did to Joseph, and they talk about the spirit that was upon them at the time, spirits of jealousy, spirits of, all the things that we need to avoid in this world. But anyways, verse 4. And his brothers, seeing that his father loved him more than all his sons, hated him and were not able to speak anything peaceable to him, right? So that hate inside you, that anger, it keeps you from even having the ability to do the right thing, which is why, in my opinion, in this world, all these things are getting set up to make people angry, right? And it doesn't even matter. It's left versus right. It's Democrat versus Republican. It's black versus white. It's poor versus rich. It's commoner versus government. It's this country versus that country. It's this religion versus that religion. Like, it is all being set up to create some kind of anger, anguish, or resentment. And that's being done by design. Because if you are angry, right, if you have hate in your heart, you cannot walk in the righteousness of Yah. That's what James, the leader of the Church of Acts, said. The anger of man does not produce the righteousness of Yah. So if we are angry, if we are bitter, if we are hateful, if we are resentful, we can't walk in righteousness. And if we can't walk in righteousness, then Satan wins. You know, he's proven that you know, whatever he's trying to prove. I don't know what he's trying to prove, but like, just to pull you away that you don't really want to serve Yah. Like he was trying to prove with Job that Job was only serving Yah because of the things he had. Right? That was his whole thing with Job. Like, hey, if he didn't have any of this, if he didn't have his health, if he didn't have his children, if he didn't have your hedge of protection around him, then he wouldn't even serve you. Well, Job passed that test. Right? So he's probably in some way, shape, or form trying to prove the same thing against us, right? It says in the Bible that he accuses us day and night. Day and night, he accuses us. And look at this. Presented with a little bit of this and that, and look how angry. Look at this. Look what they're doing to each other. Right? So it's all being set up. It's like entrapment. Really, is what it seems like. I don't know how the law works in heaven. Like, we can barely figure it out down here on earth. So I don't presume to know how it works up there. But there is a law. There is a law. And Satan does have access. Like, I don't know how, I don't know what to extent, I don't know, but he does have access. And so it seems like it's a form of entrapment. Like, hey, I'm going to just place this thing here. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, I'm going to be waiting there for you. Like, and it seems like he's setting a lot of stuff right there for you. You know, whatever it be. Whether it's the position to become super angry, whether it's, you know, easy access to all the bad things that we need to try to avoid, pornography, all this kind of stuff, all the bad things that are not good for us or our spirit. Why do you think they're free? If it is free and it is sin, Satan's dangling it there for entrapment. Right? Why do you think drugs are cheap and easy to get? You know, look how easy this person got torn off the path of righteousness just for a little whatever of this thing, little baggie of cocaine, little baggie of, you know, whatever. Look at just turned himself into a massive drunkard here, right? And again, like I don't know the extent of any of this, and your guys' walk is your own. Only you and the Most High knows what your issue is and what you need to work on. But we should all start acknowledging these things, trying to work on them, because I don't think we got that much time to figure it all out. I don't. But I'm just saying, if Satan makes it easy to get, if he makes it free, if he makes it attainable from the least to the greatest of us, it seems to me it's some form of entrapment. He's trying to get you to take the bait. It's like when you see this with cops do it, right? They will leave a sports car on the side of the road in a bad neighborhood with the window down and the keys in the ignition. And they're just dangling it there for somebody. And you know what? It's wrong to take the car, but they've made it extremely easy. They've made it look like a cherry on top of the cake. And every time somebody gets in the car and tries to steal it, like every time. Now, is that right? I don't think so, right? Not my call. Like, sure, the car was sitting there. If you were a good person, you wouldn't have stolen it. But should we be trying to entice people to sin? You know, like, that's what's basically going on in the world. It's like Satan, it feels like, potentially, is trying to entice people to sin. And everybody is becoming more and more okay with it because they want to sin, because they like to sin, because it's easy to sin, and because their church gave them excuses to do it. hey, Jesus paid for it, so you're good. You know, he knew that this was going to be too hard for you to fight. So he came down here and died in the worst, most horrible possible death anyone could ever do, so that you can live in your sin and get into the kingdom. Albeit Jesus, Yeshua, is the one that said, if this thing causes you to sin, you better off chopping your arm off or gouging your eye out than continuing in that thing. Hey, it's better for you to tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself in the deepest part of the ocean than continue doing this sin. That's what he said, right? And in a perfect world, no one's going to be setting up entrapment. No one's going to be enticing you to sin. But at the end of the day, some of it's valid, right? Like, he put it there. You didn't have to grab it, though. You know, and it just stinks because they make it so easy, and they've lied to people about the consequence. They've given them the excuse to take the thing. Like this world has facilitated this whole entrapment process. The churches do it. The common man does it. They've all facilitated the entrapment. You know, so again, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know how it works. I don't know Satan's full extent in it, but it says in the Bible not to even curse Satan, right? Not to speak badly about him, not to speak badly about your government or your rulers, even though, you know, it's obvious that some of the things they are doing are not in keeping with the right way to do things per our Creator and per our Messiah. So I don't know where the line falls on that one either. Like we have to acknowledge it, right? But I'm not trying to speak any curses. Like, there's obviously a purpose for all this. Satan has a job. You know, the governments have a job, and our Heavenly Father told us not to curse them, told us not to speak ill of them, you know, and I don't know where that falls. I don't. I wish I did. I need to pray about it. Maybe I need to cast lots on it. I'm not sure. But I can't not acknowledge that what they are doing is not in line with the Bible, right? But they are enticing people to say, like, it's just a fact. They're making these horrible drugs easy to get. They're facilitating companies poisoning food that they sell to us. They're giving people experimental medications and stripping these people of any right to go after them or whatever if something bad happens. So they're charging people, like, to boot, they're charging people for these medications, you know, like, it's all wrong. It's all bad. It's all completely apart from Yah's Torah and the way of life that Messiah Yeshua told us to walk by. So we just need to separate ourselves from it as much as possible, and we need to honestly not even curse them. Judgment is Yah. He literally says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. I fully believe that he will make everything right. You know, we just have to have faith in that. We have to endure. You know, I don't know everything that's going on. I don't know why it's all the way it is, but I know it's all for a purpose. He says as much. It says it all over the Bible. And he says he's going to wipe away every tear. You know, so I don't know how, you know, it's beyond my understanding, but I believe him, you know. And I've seen it in my own life, you know, where you go through something hard and it just seems like it will never end. And then at the end of it, it's so good afterwards that you're like, I don't even remember how bad it was, you know, like, it's same with childbirth, which is probably why it's described to us as childbirth all the time. Obviously, I haven't been through childbirth, but I've been there a few times. I delivered all my own children. So I can understand the pain and the terror and the fear, and then afterwards being so happy that everything worked out. You have a beautiful, healthy baby. Your wife is fine. I don't have to stress anymore. Like, so I get it in a sense. Obviously, we can't understand to the full experience, but even Paul says we can't possibly understand the good things that Yah has laid up for us, right? Whatever it is. You know, again, even if I'm a slave in that kingdom, well, cool. Like, right on. I'm for it. I just want to be there. You know, and Messiah Yeshua said that John the Baptist is the greatest of any man that's ever lived. And he's like, even comparably, he would be lower than the least in the kingdom, right? He's saying that the best in this world is not even a shadow of what it is to be the least in that world, the world to come. And again, greatest depends on your perspective as well. Look at John the Baptist. He literally lived in the woods. People hated him and talked poorly about him. He survived off eating locusts, like not my favorite. Wouldn't be my favorite meal, my top choice. I don't want a locust burger, but Yeshua understood, right, the things that matter to Yah. So John the Baptist was at the top of that food chain. The worldly people look at John and be like, this guy's like a savage. He lives in the wilderness. He eats bugs, like not refined. And that's, again, perspective matters. Your perspective matters. And if you really want to fall in line with the word of Yah, our perspective needs to be in line with his perspective. And the things of this world are not what he cares about at all. He doesn't care about your car, or your house, or, I'm not saying that he won't give you these things and that he doesn't want to bless you with these things, because we've seen it. But, the things of Yah are far beyond our houses and our cars and our jobs. It's far, like what Paul said, right? The kingdom of heaven is much more than food and drink and feasting. The things of man, the things that man cares about and loves and focuses on, are not the things that Yah loves and focuses on. Like, his ways are higher than our ways. It's beyond our understanding. So if you really want to understand Yah and fall in line with his will, then you should be looking at John the Baptist as the greatest of all humanity, and not this singer or this athlete or this politician or this guy that you listen to online. Like, right, we need to, it's the things of Yah that matter. And John the Baptist had a lock on the things of Yah. He knew. All right, and those of you that were with me through the Book of the Nazarene study I did, right? The first couple of chapters are about John the Baptist, and he had a hard life. His father was murdered while he was a baby, and his father was a righteous man. It says it, Luke chapter 1, and his mother, and then they had to flee to the wilderness, and she died not that long after, when he was just a kid, and it's just, honestly, this is like a heartbreaking story. It literally made me tear up. Like, it's truly a heartbreaking story, but he didn't let any of that stand in his way when he was walking in the path of Yah, and he didn't spend his life trying to acquire the things of the world. He spent his life preaching the kingdom of Yah, paving the way for Messiah Yeshua. So, anyways, perspective matters. That's all I'm getting at. Off my soapbox again. We can't have hate in our heart. That's where all that came from. Get rid of hate, right? Verse 5. Having dreamed a dream, Joseph reported it to his brothers, and he said to them, "Hear this dream that I had dreamed. I was imagining you were tying together sheaves in the midst of the plain, and my sheaf arose and stood upright. Turning around, your sheaves bowed to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, sorry, hold on, got to pop up on TikTok. It's okay. Good, I didn't irritate them. His brothers said to him, "Reigning will you reign over us, or lording will you lord over us?" And they proceeded to hate him further on account of his dream and on account of his words. He saw another dream, and he described it to his father and his brothers. And he said, "Look, I dreamed another dream. And though the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing to me," and his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream which you have dreamed? Really then, will I and your mother and your brothers come to bow to the earth to you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father preserved the word. His brothers went to feed the sheep of their father at Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are your brothers not herding in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." He said to him, look, it is I. Israel said to him, having gone, see if your brothers and the sheep are well, and bring back a report to me. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem, and a person found him wandering in the plain, and the person asked him, saying, what are you seeking? He said, I am seeking my brothers. Tell me where they are grazing. The person said to him, they are left in that direction. For I heard them saying, let us go down towards Dithon. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them towards Dithon. And they caught sight of him from afar, before he came near to them, and went to kill him. They each said to his brother, look, the dreamer is coming. Like you can almost like hear the indignation in their tone, like, oh, look, the dreamer, the righteous Joseph, the one who's going to lord over it. Like you can, like just reading the text, you can kind of like feel it, They said to each other, look, the dreamer is coming. So now let us kill him and throw him into one of these pits. And we will say an evil beast devoured him. And we will see what his dreams are. Upon hearing it, Reuben rescued him from their hands and said, we will not strike him to take his life. Reuben said to them, do not shed blood, rather throw him into one of these pits in the wilderness. Do not lay a hand upon him. This way he might deliver him from their hands and restore him to his father. I just want to say real quick, again, I need to go back and do a restudy for everybody on the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, because it's hitting a lot harder these days. But if you read it, you'll notice that in the beginning, a good chunk of them, when they're giving this is like the Testament of 12 Patriarchs, if you're unfamiliar with it, is basically their will. Their end of life, look, this is what I learned from all the stuff I did. And I'm telling my children and my grandchildren, I'm telling all of you so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. And they all start out talking about the mistakes they made. And most of them start with what happened with Joseph. And how bad it made them feel, how terrible they felt their whole life because of this stuff. They talk about punishments because of it. They talk about anguish, personal problems that came about because of these things, judgments from the Most High because of how they were acting. And you read it and you see that they learned from their mistakes. All the mistakes we read about here in Genesis, all the terrible things they did to their brother, to each other, to other people. They are talking about it in the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, and they're saying, look, I did this thing, and this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. This is what happened. Like, Reuben talks about how he slept with like Bilhah, one of his father's concubines, right? And he was like, to the day of my death, I couldn't look my father in the eye. And here's the thing about Jacob too. Like Jacob knew this. And he said, even after I did this horrible thing to my father, he prayed for me. He comforted me. He was there for me. And he wanted the anger and the judgment of the Most High to pass over me, even though I did this terrible, horrible thing to my father. And it's just humbling, to look at people who were wrong. Joseph was wronged by his brothers, and he continued to love them. He continued to walk in righteousness in these situations and not bear malice and hate towards them, not let all that affect his walk with the Most High. Jacob did this. Isaac did this. Abraham did this. Like, they all made human mistakes, and they all preserved them for us so that we could learn from it and not have to go through the same experiences. And you know what? I've gone through some of the same things. Right? I have chosen bad women to be with, and I've suffered the consequence of it. I've made poor decisions that I knew better, and I suffered the consequence for it. And it's a very, very humbling thing when you read it and when you see that even though they learned their lesson, to the day of their death, it grieved them. There was hardship that came to their life because of these things. And it's just like, I wish, I pray I speak blessings upon my children that they do not have to suffer the same thing that I did. That they are smart enough to learn from words instead of having to go make those mistakes for themselves and then suffering the consequences. And even if Yah willing, praise Yah, his judgment passes over us for all these terrible things we've done, to the day of our death on this earth, you're not going to be able to stop thinking about it. You're not going to ever stop regretting that you did this thing. Like even though I know it's decades ago in my life when I did this terrible thing, they still pop up into my head. I'm still like grieved that I even did it. It's just like this Bible and walking in the way and listening to these people who made bad choices and suffered, like it is all to spare us hardship. If we listen to them and do what the Bible says, and we learn from all the times that people and nations drop the ball, if we all learned from it, and if we all did the right thing, we would be spared all these grievous feelings and consequences and judgments and punishments, things that linger, that last into the rest of our life on this earth. And I pray and speak blessings over my children and over you that we can learn from these things and not have to suffer the same. Again, even if judgment passes over us, it doesn't mean there's not going to be regret and grief and hardship, right? So, anyways, I just want to point that out. The Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, one of my favorite extra biblical books. It should be in every single Bible. And all of them is talking about their grief and the consequences of their bad choices. And it ends up being laws in the Torah, and they should have known. They even admit, like, hey, I should have known better. I should have done better. I should have never done this thing. But there's a reason that these laws are in the Torah. It's so that we don't have to go through these same things. Because again, this whole situation right now is being brought on by hate and jealousy and envy. Right? All the things that the Torah tells us not to partake in, all the things that the New Testament tells us to partake in, even Paul specifically names these things. Paul specifically says, do not do these things. Here, look, let's just FYI, let's go over to Galatians, all right, which is the bane of my existence for anyone that preaches Torah, because people don't understand Galatians. I've heard, haven't you read Galatians a million times? Yes, I have. And we're going to read it right now for you. So, we're in Galatians 5. Let's read 19 through 21. Now the works of the flesh are evident. Sexual immorality. The Torah tells you not to do that. Impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity. All things the Torah tells you not to do. All things that are talked about in the Testament of 12 Patriarchs that they're going through right now in the book of Genesis. Right? Strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things of the like, I warn you. This is Paul. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not, that word in here should be bolded, underlined, and circled, will not inherit the kingdom of God. All things you find in the Torah. All things you find them doing and talking about here in Genesis. All things that become laws for us, and it's for our own good. Imagine a world. It wasn't filled with anger and jealousy and strife and divisions and dissensions. Imagine a world without those things. It'd be a good world, wouldn't it? It'd be much better than it is right now. And yet again, everybody realizes these things are bad, but no one wants to participate in the solution. What is the solution? Keeping Torah. Listening to God, learning from the mistakes that he preserved for us. Turning away from these things and saying, you know what? I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to have envy anymore. I don't want to be jealous anymore. I don't want to cause division or dissension unnecessarily anymore. I don't want to do these things. I don't want to participate in sexual immorality. I don't want to covet. I don't want to be adulterous. I don't even want to have the thought. If you could participate in that, this world would immediately become a better place. And it's got to start somewhere, right? Even if you're the only one doing it, which will likely be the case, unfortunately, from reading Revelation and what's going on in the world and where we're at in history, likely you may be the only one that you know trying to do this. But you're making the world a better place. And more importantly, you're falling in line with the word of Yah. You are walking in the footsteps of Messiah Yeshua, and you are learning the lessons from men and women before us who were much better than we were. You are learning those lessons and you are applying it to your life. That is what walking in Torah is about. This isn't Yah saying like, you do this or else. Like, he's saying, look, these things are good for you. These things are very good for you. And if you walk in them, it will benefit you and you will experience massive blessing. And he is completely right. I saw this thing. It was an interesting perspective. I guess I'm getting off on a soapbox again here for a sec. But this guy was talking about suffering in the world. Why is suffering? And I've talked about that many times, but he had an interesting perspective. He was taking a heavenly stance on it instead of a worldly stance on it. And he was like, okay, well, imagine up in heaven, Messiah Yeshua talking to Satan, right? Satan is exalted. He is an anointed cherubim. He's up at the top of the food chain in heaven. And Yeshua's there. And he says, look, brother, like, we need to walk in these things. They are holy. They are righteous. They're good. And Satan says, no, I want to do it my own way. I don't want to do it this way. And he says, okay, well, look, there's two options here. We know that according to the Bible, if you do these things, it's worthy of death, being destroyed. Right? That is a consequence of punishment. But if Yeshua destroyed Satan in front of all these people right there, he said, fine, you don't want to walk in this way? Boom, done. You're gone. All the other people up there, everyone else would see. They'd be like, oh, well, we have to do this or we're dead. He'll just kill us. And it no longer becomes out of love. It no longer becomes free will. It no longer becomes, I understand that this is the good way to walk. It's all about, okay, now we are forced to do this. We have no choice. And that changes the whole dynamic of it. That changes the whole dynamic of walking in Torah when you feel like you are forced to do it. Right? But imagine, he says, okay, well, I'm gonna take a step back here. I'm gonna let you conduct yourself in the way you want to. And he allowed humans to do the same thing. He allowed humans to walk in their own way. He said, okay, I'm telling you that this is the way that is righteous and holy and good. This is the way that will benefit you. This is the way that you are supposed to conduct yourselves in these relations. I invented you. I created you to walk in these relationships, right? And I'm telling you that this is the way to do it. But if you don't want to do it, that is your choice. I'm letting you. And now later down the road, thousands of years later, right? Millennial reign, whatever comes after that, if somebody wakes up one day, if somebody's born in righteousness, and then they say, I want to do it my own way. You know what? They have 6,000 years of history that they can watch through. They can reel it back and say, okay, this is what happens when we walk in our own way. War, death, murder, adultery, rape, envy, strife, jealousy, all these horrible things. And I'm sure the same can be said of heaven. There's something going on up there too. We can't possibly understand it, but they have free will too. There is a heaven up there. There are angels and they have free will. He let them make the choice about doing it their own way as well. And apparently from the very little it talks about in the Bible canon, heaven is in need of a revamp also. Heaven's in need of a refill of righteousness because it sounds like war breaks out up there. It sounds like things get bad up there too. And he says there will be a new heaven and a new earth. So obviously there needs to be some refreshing up there too. Again, that's above my pay grade. I don't want to speak things that I don't know. I don't want to kick that can down the road. So that's all I'll say. There's obviously a need for a new heaven. And he gave them free will as much as he gave us free will. And no matter how much Satan is involved or not involved in what's going on, I have seen people that I know and love walk down these roads. I have walked down these roads, and I can't say Satan forced me to do it. I can't say Satan forced me to be with a fornicator of a woman who could care less about my feelings, who could care less about purity and relationship and respect. Satan didn't force me to date that woman. Satan didn't force me to be jealous. Satan didn't force me to be angry. So I don't know. Sure, there's something going on with all that. To what extent, I do not know. But I know in my own life, and I've seen in people that I know, that he did not hold their feet to the fire. He did not make them be greedy. He did not make them be covetous. He did not make them be adulterous. Like, maybe there was some stuff dangled around, but he didn't make us take it. No one forced us to do it. So at the end of the day, like, there is free will here. And we all have the choice about whether to walk in righteousness or about whether to not. We can all listen to Yah and walk in the footsteps of Messiah Yeshua and understand that it really is holy and righteous and good. And we can look back right now. Albeit we're living in a terrible time, a vile age, but albeit we in this generation have the benefit of looking back and seeing what this creates. We are living it out. In the last 20 years, I've seen what wickedness creates, and it ain't good. It is not good. So I know that his way is holy and righteous and good now. I know that he was right when he told us this would be a benefit for you to walk in. I know that it is good and righteous and holy and pure, and I want to do it. I want to do it. It grieves me thinking that I'm not keeping his laws. And I am scared of the consequences. I have fear of Yah. I do. I am terrified of the consequences of breaking his laws. I'm terrified that I might be walking in something that I don't know. Like, hey, maybe I've been eating this thing my whole life. But again, I understand there's grace and mercy and love there. Right? So I'm not trying to like downplay that. I'm not trying to make it only about the fear of Yah. But you do need the fear of Yah. You need it. You have to understand consequences. But beyond the consequences, I understand why it is good for us to walk in these things. I understand why we shouldn't be angry with each other, why we shouldn't be jealous with each other, why we should forgive people even when they've wronged us. I now understand those things. Now, it doesn't mean I won't ever make a mistake in my life. It doesn't mean I won't ever get angry. I wish I could never get angry again. I wish I could forgive and like without ever thinking about it ever again. I don't feel like I have any unforgiveness in my life, but stuff pops into your head sometimes and you're like, is that unforgiveness? So like, I wish I could just forgive once and never think about it ever again, and just be like, best of luck to you. Many blessings upon you, even though you've wronged me. Like, I don't want to make those mistakes. It grieves me to think about making those mistakes. But I do know that genuinely in my spirit, I know that walking in his way is good for all of us. And if we all chose to do it to the best of our ability, even when we drop the ball, this world would be better. And you know what? The more people that are doing righteousness, the easier it is to do righteousness. But nobody else is going to do it if you don't shine the light, right? Which is why he tells us that you need to go shine that light. You need to walk in my way. Even if nobody else does it, if nobody else listens, you need to do it, right? And it'll be good for us. Maybe the world will reject us. Maybe our families will hate us. Maybe it'll shatter our relationships, but it doesn't change the fact that it's good and righteous and pure. And that if everybody else was doing it, the world would be better. So, anyways, I understand his Torah, his laws, his ways are good, and I want to do that. I desperately want to do them, and I want everybody else to wake up and do it too. Again, even if we don't all agree on the right way to do it, we can disagree on calendars and name pronunciation. As long as we're all, to the best of our ability, trying to love our neighbor as ourselves and trying to please him to the best of our understanding, I understand. And you know what? In the Torah, right, there's laws about how to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And some people are like, oh, they act like we're forced to do it. And then they treat it kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where if Satan was just destroyed immediately in front of everybody for saying, no, I don't want to do this, it no longer becomes about love. But the thing is, like, more and more, I'm starting to understand in my life that nothing that I have, no joy that I've ever experienced, no pleasure that I've ever had came from anywhere but him. He created me. All the food I've ever enjoyed, he provided it. He gave me the means. He gave me the ability. He created the ingredients. Like, all the food I've ever eaten that I've taken pleasure in came from him. All the drinks I've ever enjoyed came from him. My wife came from him. He is the one that gave me my children. He is the one that gave me a job that provides a roof over my head. He's the one that gave all of it to us. And he says, in return, I just want you to acknowledge these things. I want you to stop worshiping wood and metal and stupid things. I want you to worship me. I want you to understand that I'm the one that gave you those things. And that's not much to ask. All right? And he says, to do that, I want you to do these things. I want you to keep these holidays. I don't want you to keep worldly ones. I want you to keep the ones I told you to keep. I want you to keep this 1 day a week. The 1 day a week, I want you to treat it differently. I want you to set it apart. I want you to not think about anything in the world. I want it to be a day of rest and family and love and holiness and worship. Is that too much of an ask? I don't think so. Not considering he gave us everything we've ever had. Everything. You wouldn't exist without him. You have no pleasure or joy. He's asking us to not eat these animals that he created and says unclean, that you don't eat them. He says, don't eat these things. That shows me love. Keep this 1 day a week holy, how I'm telling you to keep it holy. Keep my holidays, not these worldly ones. Wear some tzitzits on your pants to remind yourself of my commandments. This is not much of an ask, considering that everything we've ever had came from him. And I know that some of you, I speak to some of you frequently, and you have nothing. You live in garages or basements. You live in tents. You don't have a reliable car. You have negative money in your bank account, right? Like, I understand that many of you are super downtrodden, and it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. I wish I could fix all of it. And, it's not up to me to fix, and there is a reason for everything. Like, even James says it in chapter 2, is it not the poor? Is it not the downtrodden that Yah has promised the kingdom to? So just try to remember those things. I know it's hard when you are sweating to death because you don't have AC, or when you're hungry, or when you don't have a place to rest your head. Like, I understand it, but there is a reason for it all. And the only thing that I can think to tell anybody when they ask me about that is to read 1 Peter chapter 4. He says, if we share in Yeshua's suffering, we may also share in his inheritance. So maybe it's a blessing that you are poor and downtrodden. If it winds you up in the kingdom, praise Yah. I know it doesn't make it any easier in the moment, but you got to hold on to the promises. Like Joseph was rejoicing when he was in prison. Joseph was rejoicing when he was a slave. It's hard to do, and it shows you the caliber of man he is. But we need to take a page from his book and realize that even when it's crappy, Yah's still there, and Yah still loves you, and Yah still wants to give you good things. Take a page from Job's book. Job had everything a man could have in this world and lost everything a man could have in this world. And he took it better than any one of us. We need to take a page out of his book, and it's hard. It is so hard. But if you don't try, you'll never get closer, right? It's about practicing. It's about understanding, acknowledging, doing. So anyways, just try to remember those things, and even so, even though you're living in a tent or in a garage or in your car, like, none of us can say that there's not any type of joy or pleasure that we have had in this world, you know? And a lot of times when we look over our own sufferings, like, I can see how they're self-brought, you know, like, we're like, why am I suffering, Yah? And we're not acknowledging that it was our choices and the consequence of our choices why we are suffering, you know? And it's like, why are you blaming, like, if just outside looking in, you know, if I was Yah, I'd be like, why are you blaming me? Like, have you not looked over your own life? Have you not, you know, studied your own choices here? You know, like, I told you if you did this thing, nothing good would come to you, and you did the thing. You know, like, is that my fault? I didn't force you to do the thing. Nobody forced you to do the thing. You chose to do the thing. Right? Like, so it's hard, you know. So it's hard to reconcile all this. It's hard to understand all this, but it doesn't change the facts. Like, a lot of our suffering is because of us. Now, I'm not saying all suffering. There's many sufferings in this world that people had no part in choosing whatsoever. But again, we have to look to Yah to make all of that right, because we can't. I can't change it. I can't change that these companies are selling food medications that give your children cancer, or diabetes, or Crohn's disease, or all the other terrible things. There's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is try to avoid those things for myself and my own family, which is getting ever increasingly harder to do, by the way. But I can't fix any of that. I can't render any type of judgment on these people. Like, we have to trust that Yah will make that right. And we have to be like Joseph. We have to believe in the promise even when we're sitting in prison, or even when we're, you know, about to be murdered, or a slave in a crappy world, you know, like, and it's hard, right? I do not claim to have all that figured out and be walking that out perfectly, but I know we need to do it. I know we need to try. And we know we need to be more like Joseph. I know we need to be more like Daniel, who we're going to read in a little bit. I know we need to be more like, you know, Abraham and Jacob. And again, we need to learn from their mistakes too. They at least learned from their mistakes and didn't want people to participate in the same ones. Clearly, they learned from their mistakes and didn't want anybody else to suffer the same consequences. We need to take a page from that book. Yeah, so anyways, let's keep going. Let's go from verse 22. Reuben said to them, "Do not shed blood, rather throw him into one of these pits in the wilderness. Do not lay a hand upon him. This way he might deliver him from their hands and restore him to his father." It happened when Joseph came to his brothers, they took the many-colored tunic that was around him off of Joseph, and taking him, they threw him into the pit, but the cistern did not contain water. They sat down and ate their food, and looking up with their eyes, they saw and look Ishmaelite travelers were coming from Gilead, and their camels were laden with spices and resin and myrrh oil. They were walking, leading them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What gain is it if we kill our brother and keep his blood secret? Come, let us sell him to these Ishmaelites, but let our hand not be upon him, because he is our brother and our flesh." So his brothers listened, and Midianite merchant people were passing by. So they dragged Joseph out and took him up from the cistern, and they sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 gold pieces, and they led Joseph down to Egypt. Reuben returned to the cistern. Man, they sold him for 20 gold pieces. Is that what a life is worth? Apparently, people will kill other people over cheeseburgers now, so you're not even worth 20 pieces of gold anymore. Now you're worth a couple of dollars in your wallet. Like, I just cannot believe how people are treating each other. Like, it's just terrible, right? And, like, everybody knows it's bad. And, again, people don't want to participate in the solution, and it is heartbreaking. Not even Christians want to participate in the solution. Like, it hurts. It hurts. Reuben returned to the cistern and did not see Joseph in the cistern, and he tore his garments. And he returned to his brothers and said, "The young man is not there. And as for me, what shall I do now?" Taking the tunic of Joseph, they slaughtered a kid of the goats and stained the tunic with blood. And they sent off the many-colored tunic, and they brought it to their father and said, "We found this. Check if it is the tunic of your son or not." And he checked it and said, and again, look, they're lying here, right? Compounding all these things with lies, which they talk about in their testament and just all over the Bible. This is why the Bible says not to lie. Right? In Proverbs 6, it's named as one of the things that Yah hates. Lying. Right? Just don't lie. Right? Try your best not to lie. Right? And then in Revelation, it says that the liars will not enter the kingdom. Right? People who love and speak lies. So, obviously, part of walking out the Torah that we should be on top of. Right? "It is the tunic of my son. An evil beast devoured him. A beast carried off Joseph. Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth around his waist, and he was mourning his son for some days. All his sons and daughters gathered together and came to comfort him, and he did not wish to be comforted, saying, 'I will go down to my son, mourning into Hades.' And his father mourned him. The Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, the eunuch of Pharaoh, the chief cook." All right, we're going to get into Joseph's story again, Yah willing, soon. I guess I'll just tell you guys in here right now, there's a chance I will not be here next Shabbat. I'm hoping to make a trip up to see the kind and generous, loving folks at Parable of the Vineyard for a Shabbat. That is my plan. Yah willing, it will happen. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'll put up a video, but we may not be doing next Shabbat study. But Yah willing, soon we will continue from Genesis chapter 39. In the meantime, let's get over to Daniel. I want to at least get one chapter of Daniel in the books. All right, so we are in Daniel chapter 9. In the first year of Darius, son of Xerxes, from the race of the Medes, who ruled over the kingdom of the Chaldeans. And again, I do not understand all the people. Like, I made just a general comment. This, okay, going off on a sidebar again real quick here, but I watched a YouTube short, and this guy was talking about how they were searching for gold in this valley in Alaska. And he's like, once we got under the layer of permafrost, it was wild. He was like, there were dinosaur bones and bones of like every kind of animal. He's like, it looked like, and he's like, it was everywhere through this entire valley. He was like, and I think it was a clip from, it might have been the Sean Ryan, I don't know. Either way, it was a big clip and this guy was talking about it. And he's like, it looked like somebody took an entire ecosystem and put it in a blender and just dumped it out right here. And I put a comment on that video and I was like, kind of sounds like a flood, one of biblical proportions. And this, that comment has been going wild, and it brought out all the non-believers coming to attack me for a little bit. And the comments I've been getting are just like in response to that comment I left on that video. It's just astounding to me. The lack of understanding that these people have. They're fighting against anything biblical, and they clearly don't know anything about the Bible and have never actually looked into it. And it just blows my mind. Like, archaeologists have used the Bible to rediscover lost nations. That's a fact. That's a fact. The Bible has perfectly described things that have been preserved, including the flood. The evidence for the flood is overwhelming. It is overwhelming, right? And not to mention the stuff that it talked about in Egypt. In the Bible, they have discovered the Pharaoh and his son that was killed during the time of the Exodus. We know who that is, and the Bible perfectly described it. They have found destroyed fallen nations based off of what the Bible said and where they were. This book is a history book. Now, albeit there's some things in it that are hard to understand. There's some things in it that are supernatural to our understanding, but this is a history book. It is undeniably a history book. And this Did you guys watch that movie 300 ever back in the day? Right? That is about the Greeks who were the next phase of the statue in Daniel right after the Medes. But in 300, they were fighting against Xerxes, who is named here in the Bible. And that was the setup, albeit they took some liberties with those movies, right? But the Greeks, were the ones who took world dominion away from Xerxes and the Medes. Like, that is a fact. And the Bible perfectly preserved this information. And not only that, to boot, the visions of Daniel perfectly match what happened in history. And they were preserved and written before it happened. So, like, I'm just saying, like, these people that don't understand this and never look into this are completely and utterly misinformed. And again, I've said it before, and Yah willing, I'll say it again to anyone who listens. Just talking about the Old Testament, the evidence is astoundingly overwhelming. Like, astoundingly overwhelming. But then you go to the New Testament. And the fact that there are people in this world that still think that Yeshua, or Jesus as they call him, was some kind of fairy tale or made up, or that his persona, his character was stolen from Krishna or from Horus, or like, oh my goodness. The lack of being informed is astounding. Like, again, why do you think there are billions with a B believers? Because when you try to prove that stuff to be wrong, you never can. Like, if you go to try to prove the Bible wrong, if you actually go dig into this, you will never, ever be able to come up lacking. You'll never be able to say that, oh, this is all fake, this is all made up. The evidence for the existence of our Messiah, Yeshua, now, not even considering the impact that he's left in the world, the evidence, just the documentation, the evidence in the Bible and outside of the Bible, because there are extra biblical texts that talk about Yeshua, like from other nations. That is a fact. The evidence for Yeshua is overwhelming. There is nothing in antiquity that even comes close. Again, if you don't want to believe that Yeshua was a real person, then you might as well get rid of Aristotle, Plato, Attila the Hun, Constantine. You might as well just kick them out the door, because they don't have a shadow of the evidence that Yeshua has. Not even a shadow. There's nothing that even comes close. And that's why there's billions of believers. Now, those billions of believers, in large part, are not doing what that Messiah said to do, and not listening to what is preserved in the Bible for us to learn from, but they do all still understand that it's true and real. They understand that Yeshua was a real person. They understand that this book is history, and enough of it has been proven to be true where you should be able to lean on the parts that you don't quite understand. So, again, Xerxes, talking about Xerxes, this is all preserved history. This isn't fairy tale. This isn't Daniel making stuff up. Like, this is history. And it's just a fact. So, I doubt any of you watching this believe that. But again, on the off chance somebody pops in or comes across this, you need to understand that this book has called the ball and been right every time. Every time somebody tries to prove something in this book wrong, they fail. Every time. So, in the first year of Darius, son of Xerxes, from the race of the Medes, who ruled over the kingdom of the Chaldeans, in the first year of his kingdom, I, Daniel, searched and perceived in the documents the number of years during which would take place the command concerning the land to the prophet Jeremiah to accomplish the fulfillment of the disgrace of Jerusalem. 70 years. 70 years, 80th by strength. Talks about this in Psalms. So I set my face towards the Most High Elohim to seek in prayer and compassion with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed to the Most High and made confession and said, Look, O Yahuwah, you are the great and mighty Elohim and the fearful one who watches over your covenant and shows compassion to those who love you and those who keep your commands. And it never changed, by the way. We have sinned. Yes, we have, and it grieves me. I wish I never sinned. I wish I never sin again. That'd be amazing. I just don't want to sin anymore. And it's not to be better than any one of you. I just don't want to sin anymore. I've seen what bad comes from it in my own life, in the world, and I wish none of us had anything to do with sin, ever. Whether I am the least in the kingdom, it doesn't matter. I don't want to be a sinner. I don't want to sin. I don't want to ignore his commands anymore. And I've seen it. I've seen what we get when we do it our own way, and none of it's good. We're all terrible to each other. We are all terrible to each other and let grievous things happen that should never happen to anyone. And they wouldn't if we all kept his commands and didn't sin against him. Even again, dropping the ball. If we all make mistakes, we all have seasons of learning. We all have something we struggle with. But even if we just did our best, I want to live in that world. But anyways, verse 5, we have sinned. We have behaved unjustly. We have acted impiously. We have turned away. We have transgressed your commandments and your judgments. And we did not obey your servants, the prophets, with regard to the things they spoke in your name to our kings and to our leaders and to our fathers and to every nation upon the earth. Every nation upon the earth. Almost as if all souls are his. And he wants us all to be better. He might have chose a specific person, a specific nation in the Bible, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't care about everybody that ever lived. He says as much. Read Ezekiel 18. Right? I do not desire the death of the wicked. And he wasn't saying the wicked members of Israel, the wicked members of the Jews, or he said just people. He said all souls are mine, and I don't desire the death of the wicked. I desire that they turn from their wickedness and start doing good. I desire that. We should all desire that. I don't want any of these people to perish. I don't. I am so grieved about what is about to come on this earth. And none of them seem to know or care or understand. And I still don't want anything bad to happen to them. Again, it's hard to balance that because I understand it's a righteous judgment. I understand why they deserve it. I understand why I deserve it. But I still don't want anything bad to happen to him. And if we all just listened to him, and we can see the good that comes from not being selfish or bitter or angry. Like, we can all see the good that comes from that. Why don't people want to participate in it? I don't understand anymore. I don't get it. I understand I was in a season of unbelief. I understand I believed the lies of the world. I understand that I was a self-serving, self-righteous person who thought I knew better than anybody else. Like, I get it. I was there. But now, on the other side of it, I just see all the pain and hardship and suffering that it brings on not only ourselves, but others. And all these people, look at them, all these people, they gain fame and riches, and they have everything anybody could ever want. They have the most beautiful women that, pawing after them. They have, everything. They have pull, they have say, they have power. And then they still end up killing themselves. They still end up selling these houses to buy a new one or more. They need to get a newer, better car. They have to have this new great thing. This wife, this pretty awesome wife isn't good enough anymore. I need a new pretty wife. And it's just like it's never enough for them because they're things that don't matter. They cannot fulfill you, right? And if we all understood that, then we wouldn't be acting the way we're acting because of stuff. You wouldn't be letting poor people sit on the street, sick and hungry and unclothed so that you could buy your Porsche. None of you would be letting that happen if we were all practicing the Torah, and we would all understand that that's good. Who wants that person to be sitting out there naked and hungry and cold and sick and no one to love them, no one to comfort them, no warm place to sit at night? Like, who wants that? Who wants that? Yet this is what happens when we choose to be greedy, covetous, adulterous, angry, hateful. This is what comes of it. And it's not good. And even though everybody knows it, they're still not being the one that says, okay, even though none of you are doing it, I'm going to try. I just wish we would all try. I want us all to try. And it's just because I genuinely want the world to be a better place. I'm not trying to seek glory for myself, or, sure, I would love to be somebody in the kingdom, but more so than that, I would just love to know my place and never step beyond it. And I would love it if we were all just kind and generous to each other and genuinely wanted to help. And we didn't want people to beg us for it or to lord over people with it, or, to hold it over someone's head for later down the road. Like, if we could all refrain from doing that, no matter whether we were the least or the greatest in the kingdom or in this earth, like, it would benefit us all. So anyways, Daniel understood this. So did all the righteous people in the Bible. And to every nation upon the earth, verse 7, and to you, O Yahuwah, the righteous, or is righteousness. And to you, O Yahuwah, is righteousness. But ours is the shame of the face on this day. It certainly is. I know I feel the shame. To the people of Judah and to those abiding in Jerusalem and to all the people of Israel and to the one who is nearby and to the one who is far away among all the territories to which you have scattered them for their sin, by which they have trespassed against you and each other. Our master, ours is the shame of our face, and our kings and our leaders and our fathers, we have wronged you. We have wronged you. I've wronged him. I wish I could never do it again. I would love it if I never wronged him ever again. And I would love it if I never wronged any of you or anybody else ever again, in thought or in deed. The world would be a better place if we all did that. Verse 9. To the Most High is righteousness and mercy, for we have turned away from you. I want to turn back to him. I want us all to turn back to him. And I want us to run back to him. And it doesn't matter what I want. I'm no one special. Like, please don't, like, when I say these things, I'm not more humble. I'm not more righteous. I'm not more holy. I'm not better than anyone. Like, I'm just finally coming to the knowledge that his way is better than our way, and we all should desire it, and we should all do it, and the world would just immediately become better if we did. Not trying to be people don't even understand what self-righteousness is, but not trying to be self-righteous or holy or right. Like, I'm not trying to be like, look at me, I'm better than all of you because I want the world to be a better place. Like, that's not what's going on here. Like, it's just, I'm sick of seeing the suffering, quite frankly. I'm sick of us bringing it upon ourselves. I'm sick of arguing with believers about what Yah clearly told us to do. I am over it. I have had thousands upon thousands of Christians argue with me, self-professed Christians. They claim to be believers. I've had thousands of them argue with me over the years about just doing what he clearly asked us to do. And whatever reason, whether you should just do it because there's consequences or whether you do it because you love him and you just want to be thankful for what he gave you and show him back the love that he showed us in the only way that we're able to do it, by listening to him. No, I'm sick of seeing us do it to Yah. I'm sick of seeing us do it to each other. I'm sick of doing it to each other. I'm sick of doing it to Yah. I would love it if we would all just get on the same page and just all acknowledge what he said. Again, our walks don't have to look the same. We are different people. We're different individuals. We're in different circumstances. Our walk does not have to perfectly match other people's. But it would be very nice if we all understood that when he said, don't eat these things, he meant it. And it didn't change later in the Bible, and that's just a fact. Nothing in the New Testament changes what the Old Testament says. Nothing. Nothing. And I've proven that so many times with scripture. Not just me, many other people have read their Bibles and been able to say, oh yeah, you know what, you're right. Hey, we should probably not eat these things. Hey, we should probably keep this one day a week set apart and holy. And it's just like, I would love to not argue with people about that. I would love for there not to be any denominations or any I'm better than you because I'm a Jew, or I'm a Christian, or I'm white and you're black, blah, 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 all the stuff that people argue about these days. Like, it would just be great if we all just stopped doing that, is all. And if we all stopped doing that, our sufferings and our burdens would decrease substantially. Miss B, what shouldn't we eat? In Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14, don't eat that stuff. But in a nutshell, pork, catfish, shrimp, lobster, bugs, other than locusts, but that's not on my menu. Unclean birds, like honestly, most access to unclean birds isn't even there unless you're a hunter. So I'm just saying, like, the obvious stuff: pork, shellfish. Don't eat those things, right? Fish that don't have skin or scales or fins. Goodness, like catfish. They have drawing a blank. Catfish. They have fins, but they don't have scales. They have skin. Don't eat skinned fish. All right. So just stuff he told us not to eat, and it's not a big deal. I assure you, I've been keeping the dietary laws to the best of my ability for many years now, and it's not that hard. There's plenty of things you can replace unclean food. Like, we don't even have an excuse for that. You can go to the store and you can find beef bacon. You can find turkey bacon. You can find stuff that you can make beef taste just like breakfast sausage. I do it all the time. Just a few spices and some beef, and boom, got sausage gravy again. And it's not unclean, right? So just keep the dietary laws to the best of your ability, right? It's not like that hard. It's not that bad. He wanted us to do it. It's the least we can do. He gave us all the food we're eating and could ever possibly want to eat. So anyways, nothing in the New Testament changes the dietary laws. I have an entire playlist dedicated to that on TikTok. If you want to check it out, it's called Food and Body. I go over everything in the New Testament people say changes the dietary laws, and it doesn't. Mark 7, Matthew 15, Romans 14, 1 Timothy, I believe chapter 4, Colossians chapter 2, none of them change the dietary laws if you just take 5 seconds to examine them in detail. Acts 10 doesn't change the diet, none of them. All right, so the Acts 15 council didn't change Yah's Torah and his ways, like none of it. And all of that, to even think that proves that you have a lack of understanding in the Bible. And I'm not trying to be mean, but the Bible says what it says. And it says that Yah has to prophesy. Not that he has to, but he will prophesy what he's going to do before it happens. And he never, ever prophesied that his law would change, ever. Right? He said, if anyone ever comes to you and tells you not to keep the laws of my Torah, it's a test for you to see if you will actually listen to me and if you actually love me or not. And most people are failing that test big time. And I don't want any of us to fail it anymore. I want you to be saved. I want to be saved. But we have to acknowledge what the Bible says, and we have to do it. And you know what? Sometimes it seems like you don't have a choice. Right? And that's Christianity's big issue with it. What I was talking about earlier with the other angels and Satan. If he destroyed Satan, they'd be like, okay, we don't have a choice. We have to do this. But the longer you walk it out, the more you come into alignment with it, the more you study it and apply it, the more you understand just how darn good it is for us to do it. And then it starts to change into, I don't have to do this. I want to do this. This isn't about the consequences anymore. It's about the love. It's about, I understand why you want me to love my neighbor as myself. I understand why you want me to worship you the way you are telling me to do it. It's about thankfulness. It's about being thankful for what he gave you. You look at your life and you're like, I have a beautiful, awesome wife. I have amazing, beautiful children. I have food in the fridge. I have a roof over my head. When I'm too hot, I can turn on the AC. When I'm too cold, I can turn on the heat. Like, I have a job that you provided to me so that I can provide for my family, right? Like, it's about being thankful. And you're like, I now finally understand that stuff. I now get it. I get that this isn't like you forcing me. You're just saying, look, if you want to show me love back, this is how I want you to do it. I don't want you to do how you think you should worship me and love me and honor me. I want you to do it how I am telling you to do it. And it's the least you can do to show me love back, considering everything I've done for you in your life. Right? And he doesn't say that, but that's how I feel about it. Like, considering everything he's done for me in my life, it's really not a hard ask to, like, don't eat these animals, keep the Sabbath, celebrate my holidays, like, not these worldly rebranded ones like Christmas and Easter and your worldly ones. You know, he's like, celebrate mine. You want to show me love? Do what I'm telling you to do. This is how I feel love. And he has the right to tell us that. And far too many times we've just worshipped him in a way that's right in our own eyes, and he tells us not to do that. So keeping the laws about loving Yah with all your heart, mind, and soul really comes back to thankfulness. It comes back to like just understanding the reality of the matter, and that, hey, you know, and thinking about it in your own personal life, right? If you have a wife, right, would you want her to you know, please you in her own way, or would you want her to please you in a way that actually pleases you? Like again, I've given this example before many times, but it's like, okay, what if my wife was like, hey, let me celebrate my ex's anniversary with you now, because we used to do it on this day, and we used to go to this place, and we used to do this thing, and it was really special and really fun, and I want to do that with you now. That would not make me feel loved. I'd be pissed, actually. I'd be like, I don't want you to even, like, I want nothing to do with your ex. I don't want you to do, and that's what they're doing with Christmas and Easter. It really is. Believe it or not, that's what they're doing with it. Whether they acknowledge it ever or not, like, that is the fact of the matter. That's why he says in Deuteronomy 12, do not worship me how other nations worshiped their gods. You're keeping their anniversary with that old God, but you're just doing it with him now. Instead, he says, look, I want to celebrate our anniversary, and I want to do it this way. This is fun and pleasing to me. This makes me feel loved and honored and respected. And that's the least that we can do, is put in an effort to do that. So loving Yah with all your heart, mind, and soul, and keeping his commandments, really circles back to thankfulness and love and understanding. And then loving your neighbors yourself, again, it circles back to, hey, this is the right way to conduct yourself in a relationship, man to man. Like, this is how a husband should act with his wife. This is how a neighbor should act with his neighbor. This is how a brother should act with his brother. Like, do you want him to murder you? Do you want him to lie to you? Do you want him to steal your property when he has power and you don't? Do you want him to manipulate things? Do you want him to be jealous, greedy, prideful, envious? Like again, it's treat others how you would want to be treated. Do you want them to lie to you? No, then don't lie to them. Do you want them to be kind to you? Yeah, well, try to be kind to them. And you know what? Again, I understand this in this world. This is why the Bible says, so much as depends on you, live peaceably with all people. Because no matter what you do, no matter how kind you are or generous or merciful to some people, in this particular world that we live in, some of those things don't matter to them. And it won't matter how kind you are. It won't matter how nice you are. It won't matter that you try to do nice things for them or whatever. But that's not on you. That's on them, right? So as much as depends on you, treat others how you would want to be treated. And if they don't want it, they don't want it. Nothing I can do about that. I can't make my neighbor like me. You know, it is what it is. But I don't got to make it worse. I don't got to go move his boundary markers and his fence. I don't got to go dump gasoline on the fire. I don't need to go flipping him off when he gives me an angry look. Like, I don't need to do those things, right? And I wouldn't want somebody to do them to me. So that's why that's called the royal law, right? Because that's how we are to conduct ourselves as people on this earth. And that's why those are the two greatest commandments. They're not the only commandments. They're the two greatest. right? If you want to love Yah back, if you want to be thankful and show him that you love him, you do what he asked you to do when he asked you to do it, to the best of your ability and understanding. And you're doing it out of a heart posture of love and respect and honor. I want to love you. I want to respect you. I want to honor you. I want to show you that I am thankful for all the things that you have given me, whether it's a lot or a little. And maybe in this world, when you're given a little, he's going to give you a lot in the world to come. That is a strong possibility, right? And we just got to hold on to the promise and just persevere, endure till the end. But anyways, let's keep going. Verse 9, to the Most High is righteousness and mercy, for we have turned away from you, and we did not obey the voice of the Most High, our Elohim, to follow your law. And it's happening again today. They're doing the same thing. What has been done is what will be done. There's nothing new under the sun. To follow your law that you presented before Moses and before us through your servants, the prophets. And all Israel forsook your law, and nothing good happened, did it? Nothing good happened. They were evil with each other until Yah had to step in and put his foot down. Right? They were getting so wicked with each other because of greed and envy and lust and all the bad things that he tells us to avoid. They're getting so bad with each other that he put his foot down. He's like, I'm done letting you do this to each other. You want the consequences of your actions? Here you go. So anyways, and all Israel forsook your law and turned away from listening to your voice. It seems like they're doing that in the world right now. And there came upon us the curse and the oath written in the law of Moses. You can find that in Deuteronomy 11, 26 through 28. You can find it in Deuteronomy 28, right? It talks about all the blessings and curses of the law. But in Deuteronomy 11, 26 through 28, Yah says, today I set before you a blessing and a curse. The blessing if you obey, the curse if you disobey the commandments that I am giving you. And again, there are so many ways that curse comes upon us. And it's just like, again, we were not made. We were not made to have relationships like this. We were not made to treat each other this way. And again, no one forced us to do it. And you can see how when people don't care about each other or your feelings or about respect or honor or truth, you can see how that can shatter a person. I have lived through that more times than I'd like to recount. Right? And that is that is part of the curse of the law. That is what comes upon us when we do those things to each other. And you know what? We couldn't even blame Yah for that curse. Literally, if we act that way, it destroys other people. It hurts, it harms them. And when that happens to them, then they become bitter and angry and soiled, and they carry that into another relationship, and then into another relationship, and then into another job. And it just spreads the curse. We can't even blame Yah for it, though. Because we are bringing it upon ourselves, and we are not choosing to walk rightly. We're not choosing to put our foot down and say, you know what, that person did me wrong, but I don't gotta take that anger and hate and envy and jealousy, whatever, and live in it. And I don't have to multiply it on the earth and send it into the next person. So, and there came upon us the curse and the oath written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yah, because we sinned against it. And he established for us his commandments concerning everything he spoke to us, and to our judges with respect to the things you have judged us by bringing upon us great destructive acts, and of such a kind that had not occurred under the heavens, the way they have occurred in Jerusalem. According to the things written in the covenant of Moses, every destructive evil has come upon us, and we did not seek the face of Yahuwah our Elohim, so as to turn away from our sins and to understand and seek after your righteousness, O Yahuwah. And the reason their punishment was so severe, if you ever look at it and you're like, wow, that's over the top, they should have known better. That's why it's worse. The curse comes upon everybody in this world, whether they enter into covenant with the Most High or not. The curse comes on everybody because of our own actions and choices. But the punishment for going above and beyond when you knew better, that's why it's so bad. Because they had access to Yah. They had they saw the blessings, they saw the curses, they saw his power, they heard his voice. And they still said, you know what? I think I'm going to do it this way instead. Right? And when enough people did that in the nation, it just became infinitely worse. And they knew better. They knew the consequences. That's like, again, the best way for me to truly describe it to you in a way you might understand if you don't get what's going on is picture this. Let's say that you are driving a car, right? You're driving a car and you decide to get a little fast and the furious with it, right? Like, oh, I want to drive 100 on the highway. You know, I want to do whatever I want to do. And then you get into a car accident, right? And you get brought before the judge and they're like, what were you doing? And you're like, you know, I didn't consider consequences. I was acting impulsively. I was being stupid. I'm sorry, right? There might be grace in that for them, right? Where the judge is like, okay, I can understand you're in your youth and you didn't consider the law. You didn't consider looking into it. You didn't consider the possible consequences of that. I get it, right? I was young once too. So I'm going to give you some grace here. And I'm going to let you off with, you know, a few hours of community service work, right? Think about what you did. Don't do it again, right? Well, now let's fast forward a little bit after that. And they say, you know what? I'm getting that need for speed again, right? And they go and they do it and they cause another car accident, you know? Well, now there is no excuse for you. Now you should have known better. You saw consequences before. You saw that this wasn't a good thing to do, a good way to act. So now I am throwing the book at you. Now you're going to prison. Now I'm locking you up for a while. You know? Then we'll let you out after you've had some time to think about it. Right? Well, what happens if that person gets let out of prison and then goes and does it again? You think the consequence is going to be better than the previous one? Well, that's what's going on here with Israel and Judah. They knew better. They knew the law. They had access to it. They not only saw the blessings, but they saw the curses. They had no excuse. They've already been in court. They've already been in court. No excuse. Then Yah threw the book at them. He said, okay, you want to keep doing this? You want to keep acting this way? Fine. Well, now punishment is coming. Real punishment is coming. That's why it was worse for them. That's why the destruction was so bad. And to boot, all of that was done as an example for us and for the nations of the world. Now, have they learned the lesson? I'm not judge over that. In my opinion, it seems like they haven't learned the lesson. But all of that was done not only to show them that you knew better, this is why you're getting the worst sentence I could give you, but so that other nations would look and learn and they'd be like, ooh, that's bad. What they did, I don't want to do that. All right? That's what the world was supposed to learn from this. That's what the world was supposed to learn from the flood. That's what the world was supposed to learn from Sodom and Gomorrah. And yet, here we are, doing the same crappy things, the same crappy ways, knowing better, having history, having the Bible, having all the scriptures, and people and nations are still doing the same thing. And you wonder why the tribulation on this earth will be so bad. Why Yeshua says it will never be as bad as it will be in the tribulation ever again. It will be the worst it's ever been. No time in history is it going to be as bad as the tribulation, which we are at the door of, people. We are at the door of it right now. All the signs are here. All of them. All the things the Bible said was going to be here right before tribulation, they're here. All of them. And then when you add in the prophecy of apocryphal books, it's astoundingly overwhelming. Astoundingly overwhelming. That's why it's going to be so bad. Because this world knew better. This world had Jesus. This world had the Bible. This world had preserved history. This world had Vietnam and World War I and World War II and the Civil War. This world had the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This world had the flood. This world had the dispersion of Israel and Judah. This world had the conquest of the Babylonians and of the Medes and of the Greeks and of the Romans. This world had it and still chose not to listen. That's why it's going to be bad. And I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to witnessing it. I'm not looking forward to people going through it. Just like Daniel said, just like many other people. All the times he was grieved in his spirit. He couldn't even sleep because of what's going on. And I'm no special person, but I'm pretty grieved. And I can't sleep. I haven't got a good night's sleep in so long, you guys. I feel like my spirit is constantly stirring. And I'm worried. I'm worried for myself. I'm worried for you. I'm worried for my earthly family. I'm worried for my neighbors. But still, even having all of the knowledge of the world at their fingertips, seeing all the evil and reckless deeds of man, they still won't turn. Why? I'll never know. I want to turn, though. I want to be separated from iniquity. I hope some of you do too. And again, it's not to be a better person than that guy or that guy. It's to just do your part to slow or stop the suffering and the evil of this world. That's it. And it might not affect anybody but me and the immediate people in my circle, my wife and my children. Maybe me trying to walk in righteousness does nothing for this world, except maybe it'll make my family, a better unit. And it has. Walking in Torah has made my marriage unreal better. I wish all of you had a marriage like I do. And it's not to say we're without our errors or our fights or our problems, but my goodness, I am a very, very blessed man to have a wife walking in Torah, trying to be a biblical Proverb 31 woman. I am extremely blessed to have that, and I wish all of you could experience it. I'm sure there's marriages way better than mine too. But to me, it is the best. I couldn't even ask for anything better. And that's because we chose to walk in Torah. My wife chose to listen to the Bible and to do her part of what it says to do. And I am choosing to walk in the Bible and do my part of it that it says to do. And again, maybe nobody else in this entire world will benefit from me walking in Torah. But if my wife benefits from it, that's a win. That's leaving the place better than I found it. If my children benefit from it, if my children grow up and choose to be gentle, kind people that don't want to harm anybody in this world and want to be thankful for the things they have and serve the Creator that gave it to them, man, I'll be tickled. I'll be over the firmament. If it only affects me and my family, so be it. And for those of you that aren't blessed to have a spouse walking in the way, maybe it just affects you. But you can do your part to make the world a little bit of a better place in keeping with the word of Yah, who is the source of all morality and righteousness. His way is the way. His way is good. I'm starting to do it, and I've seen the fruit of it. I have seen the fruit of it. And again, maybe nobody else sees the fruit of it. Maybe nobody else cares. But it doesn't matter what anybody else does. It matters what you do. Right? It matters how we conduct ourselves in this world. And I want to do whatever tiny little part that I can to stop the spread of suffering and wickedness. And the only way to do that is to listen to Yah and his commandments and to humble yourself before him. There's no other way. The people that are out there right now trying to make the world a better place, they're doing it out of the things that we're still supposed to avoid. They're doing it out of pride. They're doing it out of envy. They're doing it out of arrogance. They're doing it so that the world knows that they're somebody, right? Like, and that's just not the way. Because, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm glad they're still trying to make the world a better place. Like, I'm glad for that guy that has money and goes out and tips his waitress $1,000. I'm happy to see stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, if you're trying to make money off that, if you're monetizing it, if you're trying to do it to be like, look at me, vote for me for president, like it just takes away from it. You know, and Yeshua talks about that a lot in the scriptures. He's like, hey, those people, truly I tell you, they have their reward. Right? But you, right, when you're doing something good in the world, if you want it to be for you and the Father, you don't even let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Have your alms burning in your hand. Be ready to give it to the person who needs it. Don't ask for anything. Don't ask for you know, righteousness. Don't ask for recognition. Don't monetize your good acts. Like, that's what he said. And you know what? I can see how it when we do good things in the world, but we do them for the wrong reasons, I can still see how it's not really helping the issues. Like, it's helping some of them, right? But we need to work on all of them. In every way, shape, and form, this world has dropped the ball, right? And if we're only trying to better this aspect of it, what good is that? Just like what James is talking about in chapter 2. He's like, what good is it if you manage to not commit adultery, but you murder somebody? Ooh, good job. Like, and that's what these people are doing. Like, what good is it to not be selfish if it's creating vanity and envy and jealousy among other people? Like what good did you do there if you did it for this bad reason? You know, like it's just like it's canceling it out. Maybe the rest of the world doesn't understand that, but it's exactly what James was getting at in chapter 2, which I highly recommend all of you to read today. Go read James chapter 2 later. Heck, read the whole book. Read the whole book of James. It'll take you 20 minutes, maybe, if even that. Yeah, just exactly, Brother Colton. You're substituting one bad for another, right? It doesn't, like, maybe you made that one person's life a little bit better for that one day, but did you really fix the world? You know, and it's hard to balance all that. And it's hard to truly be selfless about being generous, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, you know. And those things will pop up in you, you know. Maybe you'll give, and part of you will be like, you know, I want him to really, like, I want him to be super happy. I want him to say, you know, keep saying, oh, blah, 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 thank you, blah, 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 you know, like, and we got to just choke that stuff down. You got to choke those thoughts. You got to take hold of it and rebuke it and get rid of it. And it's hard to do, but you got to try. Like, I've been trying. It's hard to do. It feels like a battle inside my mind every day. And that's what Paul talks about. Paul talks about that very same thing. You know, we have to fight those urges. We have to fight those self-serving urges to truly love people as ourselves. You know, if we truly want to make the world a better place, it needs to be about them. It doesn't need to be about us. I don't need to monetize my good deeds. I don't need to be acknowledged for my good deeds. I just need to do the good deed when I have the ability to do the good deed. And if you're doing that with the right heart posture in the right way, then I believe what the Bible says that you know, you're laying up something for yourself that we can't understand. And boy, I pray I've been doing that. I feel like I've been doing stuff over the years with the wrong heart posture sometimes, and maybe most of the time, and with the wrong motive or with the wrong attitude. And I just want to stop. I want to work on it. If we are as close to Yeshua coming back as I think we are, now is really the time to genuinely work on yourself. Like, for no other motive than just to fall in line with his way and to show him love and to be better in the world, you know, to actually love and care about people instead of, hey, what's in it for me? Now's the time to do that. And I don't think we have much time to figure it out, guys. I don't know. It's not going to shake my faith if I'm wrong. If 2030 comes and nothing happens, 2033, 2040, 2050 comes and nothing happens, I'd be truly shocked with what's going on in the world. And I'm fearful of the future that keeps going in the direction that it's going right now. Like, I'm terribly, terribly fearful for my children if they have to grow up in this world that's only getting more wicked. But I don't think that's going to be a thing. Yah is sending the signs he said he was going to send. And people are acting the way he said they were going to act right before the end. And what's happening overseas in the Middle East is prophesied in the Bible. It's overwhelming. So I think we're at the end here. And again, even if we're not at the end, it would benefit all of us to live better, to learn how to get rid of these things in our mind and in our heart that are bad. Get rid of envy and jealousy and adultery and fornication and lust and greed and, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. It would benefit all of us to get rid of that and walk in it for the rest of our life, whether it's a few weeks or a few millennia left in this world. I don't think there is, but just saying, it would behoove all of us to do those things. It would be better for the whole world if we could just figure that out and do it and not be self-serving about it and prideful and arrogant and all the bad things that the Bible tells us to avoid. But anyways, verse 14. And the Most High Yahuwah was watchful concerning these evil judgments and has brought this upon us. For righteous is Yahuwah our Elohim with respect to everything. Whatever it is that he does and what we did not obey, is whatever it is, it's righteous. And he's proven that to us. His way is better than our way. He's proven it for the last 6,000 years from where I'm sitting. And now, O Master, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, who led out your people from Egypt with your arm lifted high, and you have acted on behalf of your own name this very day, but we have sinned. We have gone amiss. O Master, according to your righteousness, let your anger be turned back and your wrath away from your city, Jerusalem, your holy mountain. For by our sins and by our ignorant errors and our fathers, Jerusalem, and your people, O Yahuwah, have become a reproach among all around us. And now listen, O Master, to the plea of your servant and to my prayers, and let your face look upon your holy mountain that is desolate for the sake of your servants. O Master, turn your ears, O Yahuwah, and hear me. Open your eyes and look at our desolation and the desolation of your city, upon which your name is placed over it. Feels like we should be praying this prayer, honestly. For it is not with respect to our righteousness that we are making entreaty in our prayers before you. Again, it says that back in Deuteronomy. Hey, it's not because of your righteousnness that I chose you or I'm doing all these great things for you. Right? It's because I keep my promises, And again, look at Daniel, who is 1 billion times more righteous than I'll ever be. He's like, okay, it's not because my righteousness is I just please, again, it feels like this prayer we should be praying. With respect to our righteousness that we are making entreaty in our prayers before you, but on the basis of your compassion. O Yahuwah, be gracious. O Yahuwah, listen and act, and do not tarry for your own sake. O Master, take your name, for your name is placed upon your city Zion and upon your people Israel. And as I was talking, praying and confessing my sins and the sins of my people Israel, and entreating with prayer before the Most High my Elohim, and on behalf of the holy mountain of our Elohim, while I was speaking in my prayer, then look, the man whom I had seen in my first sleep, Gabriel, was swiftly coming on. He drew near to me at the time of the evening sacrifice, and he approached and spoke with me and said, Daniel, I have now come forth to impart understanding to you. At the beginning of your entreaty, an order went forth from the Most High, and I have come to show you, for you are one who has received mercy. So understanding and grasp and decree given. 77s have been decreed upon your people and upon the city, Zion, to complete the sin and to deal with the unjust offense and to wipe away the injustices and to fully understand the vision and to establish eternal righteousness and to complete the visions and the prophet and to be cheerful in the Holy of Holies. And you will know and understand to be cheerful, and you will find commands to respond. And you will build Jerusalem, the city, for Yahuwah. And after the 7 and 70 and 62, an anointed one will be removed and will not be, and a kingdom from among the nations will despoil the city and the holy place along with the anointed one, as in his end will come with destruction, anger at the time of the consummation. There will be war upon war. Look around. Right? And again, prophecy is multifaceted in Scripture, so he can be simultaneously talking about the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD and what is coming in tribulation. I don't claim to have it all figured out, by the way, so I'm just giving you my 2 cents on it. There will be war upon war, and the covenant will be made strong for many, and it will recover again, and it will be built up in the breadth and length. And at the end of the appointed times, and after 77 times and 62 years, during the set time of the consummation of war, then the desolation will be taken away when the covenant prevails for many weeks. And at the completion of the sacrifice, and at the completion of the week, 7. That's why I think all these significant earthquakes are 7s, by the way. I think he's letting us know that 7, the millennial Sabbath is about to be here. The end of this 6 days of toiling, the end of this 6,000 years, the end of doing it the wrong way is about to be here. And at the completion of the week, sacrifice and drink offering will be taken away, and upon the holy place there will be an abomination of desolation until the consummation, and a determined final destruction will be rendered upon the one making desolate. So, in my opinion, those things have not been fully fulfilled, and people are all over the map with their understandings of this. I try to listen to them all and just kind of store them in my head, but I can see how, the 70th week of Daniel, I can see how part of that can be talking about Yeshua, the anointed one. He'll be cut off and then all this stuff will happen. I can see how it could be talking about a time of Antichrist at the end, although I'm not inclined, this is just me personally, I'm not inclined to believe the mainstream interpretation. They have been wrong about a lot. Now, I'm not saying they are wrong about everything. I'm not saying it's not good or fruitful to listen to them. I'm just saying I can see how they're examining things from a wrong lens. So, like, if we go back, and let's go back up. And at the end of the appointed times, after 77 times and 62 years, during the set time, after the consummation of the war, then the desolation will be taken away when the covenant prevails for many weeks. I can see how a desolation occurred in 70 AD, how it could be talking about that. But then it goes on, and it talks about a final one, like a final judgment, and that obviously has not happened. The final judgment has not happened on this earth yet. And again, there's the Satan's little season people and the preterism people that think that the millennial reign's already happened and we're in Satan's little season, which happens to be like 1,000 years, I guess. Like, I can't buy into that. There's too much I've seen through these line-by-line studies that utterly decimates that idea. And I'm not going to lie. Like, sure, they can absolutely, they can and have manipulated history, but I don't think that Yah would make these promises. He says when Yeshua's kingdom is established, it'll never go away. Well, it would have had to. It would have had to go away. Like, where is it? Like, it is nowhere in the known world, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And again, I've mentioned this before. Parable of the Vineyard did a wonderful study on this. I've sent it to many people over the years. That's why I haven't done my own on it, is because he did such a good job. It was like the label says, like, if you search Parable of the Vineyard on YouTube and you put Kingdom Come and Gone, it'll pop up. I don't think that's the title of the video, but that's what the little picture, the thumbnail will say. And it's a wonderful study. If you can't find it, reach out to me and I'll send you the link for it. But I just can't see, I can't see the preterism stuff. I can't. It just, there's too many things that don't make sense. And I don't think that they can snuff Yeshua's kingdom and hide it for 1,000 years, you know. That's just where I'm at with it. There's a lot of prophecy coming to fruition right now that was supposed to happen before the millennial reign. So I'm just not inclined to jump on board with the Satan's little season doctrine and preterism. Like, I feel like it's been sufficiently debunked in my mind. But either way, again, even if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter, because what we need to do doesn't change. We need to fear Yah and keep his commandments. That is biblical fact, whether we're in Satan's little season or not. You know, I hope to be part of a millennial reign, and if I am found righteous, I hope to have not missed it, but, you know, may his will be done. It certainly seems like a lot longer than a little season that things have been wicked in this world, though. You know, so anyways, that's where I'm at with it. And I believe the abomination of desolation is that final destruction of Jerusalem. I believe that, and I've done a study on this. Other people have done a study on this. But I believe that they got 3 chances. And 70 AD was their second chance. And on their second chance, they not only rejected walking fully in the Torah, but they rejected Messiah Yeshua, like our God on this earth. He is the head of us. You know, they rejected him. And it says in Psalms, you know, that he would deal them 70 years, 80th by strength. And in Ezekiel, it says the sword will come upon them 3 times. You can find that in Ezekiel 22. It's in that neighborhood, like 21 through 23 neighborhood. It says the sword comes down 3 times, you know. So in my opinion, in my assessment of studying scripture, I believe they get 3 chances. I believe the people of Judah get 3 chances. Israel, the 10 northern tribes, were never regathered. Maybe there were remnants of them that came with them into the whole 70 AD Israel, but they were never regathered. They got a much longer period of punishment because of what they did. And if you watch the Messiah 2030 videos, they go over that in detail. I think they did a wonderful job about the time frame of the punishments per what scripture says. Very interesting stuff. But their period of punishment wasn't up until, coincidentally, right around now. Same thing with Judah. Because of David, because of Yah's love for him, they got a second chance earlier. They had a shorter period of judgment, and then they came back, and then they didn't listen, and then they got a longer period of judgment. And I think that period of judgment was up in 1948 when Judah was reestablished. They call it Israel, but it's not Israel. Israel is the people, right? At best, that was the regathering of Judah. So I believe that was their 3rd time. Now, could be wrong. That's just how I see it now with my current level of understanding. And I know there's conspiracy theories all around the world. Like, oh, you know, this was all set up like World War I, World War II, the Zionists. Maybe they did. Doesn't mean it's not the fulfillment of prophecy, though. And either way, in my assessment, they got chance number 3 to come out of punishment and to serve Yah, to choose to walk in his way, to choose to accept the Messiah of the whole world. And we're almost at the end of 80 years. It seems to me that Passover of 2028 is the end. So judgment, in my opinion, would likely have to be by that time frame on Jerusalem, on Judah, on the state, on the land, and the people that are currently inhabiting it. And I believe that's why Messiah Yeshua in Matthew 24 said, when you see all these signs, you need to get out of Jerusalem. You need to run. You need to flee to the hills. Don't even go back for your stuff. Just leave. Because he knew destruction was coming on that land. He knew they weren't going to choose to walk in Torah. He knew they weren't going to choose Messiah Yeshua again, right? Because he is beyond this reality. He knows the hearts and minds of people. He knows what they're going to do. So he knew that they weren't going to choose him again. And he knows because of that, their punishment this time will be even more severe because they knew better. They should know better. Look what happened to the Jews in 70 AD. Look what happened to them in the Babylonian dispersion. And they haven't changed, in my opinion. It doesn't look like as a whole they've changed anything since that time. They still are not walking in Torah. They're still not accepting Messiah Yeshua. They're still believing Babylonian Talmudic texts, and it doesn't appear to me that they're trying to attain world power through righteousness. It appears to me that they're trying to attain world power through wickedness. It says in the Bible that the whole world would love Jerusalem, would love the people, would look to them for guidance. They'd be like, wow, these people are better than anybody else. They're kind, they're righteous, they're holy. Yah is truly with them. Is that what's going on in this world right now? It's not. Because wickedness is not how you attain power. It never has been, never will be. It's not right before Yah. And that's, in my assessment of world events, to my understanding, they're trying to attain power through wickedness and not righteousness. And there will be a severe punishment for that. So I think when he talks about, and there will take place the abomination of desolation until the consummation and determined final destruction rendered upon the ones making desolate, I believe that's talking about utterly annihilating that place. Now, whether it's a nuke, whether it's fire and brimstone from heaven, whether it's an earthquake or a volcano erupting, whatever, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, it's judgment from Yah. Because they knew better, they really knew better, and still have not learned or turned from their wicked ways. Now, I'm no one's judge. I'm just trying to decipher the times, and I'm trying to look at what Yah says the people of Yah should conduct themselves like, and what the people that are claiming to be Yah's people, how they are conducting themselves. And that's not just the Jews. That's Islam, that's Christianity. They're all claiming to be Yah's people. And none of them, in my understanding of Torah, my understanding of the path of Messiah Yeshua, none of them are doing it. And that's why I think judgment on all three of those branches will be severe. It's not just the Jew. Judgment is going to start with them, but it's going to come into the rest of the world. And they're all profaning the blood of the covenant by which they were sanctified. They're outraging the Spirit of grace. That's why the tribulation, that's why the final punishment will be so severe on this world. Because they knew better. And they still chose to not love their neighbor as themselves. They still chose to not love Yah how he asked us to love him. They still chose to do what was right in their own eyes. So that's why it's going to be bad. Really, 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 really bad. That's my take on it. I guess we'll see. But I think the abomination of desolation is the utter destruction of the actual place of Jerusalem. In the scriptures, when you read about Israel, it's a people, it's a body, it's a group, it's humans. When you read about Jerusalem and Samaria, he's talking about the place. He's talking about the actual land, right? So I think the abomination that makes desolate will be the utter destruction of the state, the political state of Israel. That's what they call it now. It'll be the destruction of that. And the utter waste of Jerusalem, the place. I think it will be melted, as it talks about. Again, in Ezekiel, I want to say 22 or 23. It talks about Jerusalem being melted. That's never happened before. Sounds to me like that's some fire and brimstone or nuke or volcano type activity. They've been having earthquakes over there. And there are a lot of itchy trigger fingers that have the power to launch nukes in the world right now. China and Russia and North Korea launches nukes, they'll launch nukes. Or if Israel launches nukes, they'll launch nukes. So, I don't know. There's a lot of itchy trigger fingers in the world. But in my opinion, if we see the utter destruction of the place of Jerusalem, I mean laid waste, I mean turned to ash, I think it is the fulfillment of this. I think it is the abomination of desolation, and I think it will lead to a massive confusion in the remaining parts of the Abrahamic faiths. Because even though Christianity doesn't agree with Judaism at all and doesn't understand it at all, they still think in their misinformed doctrines that Yah is going to reach his hand out and protect a people who are profaning him day and night. In my opinion, I don't want to speak ill. I don't want to speak on matters that are beyond my understanding. Even Paul wasn't willing to preach against the high priest, even when the nation and they weren't walking in his way. All I can tell you is that I understand what the Torah says, and they have added to it and taken away from it. They are doing very grievous things according to the Bible. The biggest ABCDEFG gathering in all of the world is in Tel Aviv, in Israel, the political state. That is a grievous abomination all over the Bible. And then that whole Sodom and Gomorrah, having a pride fest at Sodom and Gomorrah, which, by the way, I didn't make a video about this, but what happened to that? What happened to it? Right? They were all propping it up. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to be the biggest pride gathering in the world at Sodom and Gomorrah. And you can't find nothing on the internet about it. You can't find that it was canceled. You can't find that it happened. You can't find who was there. Nothing. They were all talking about it, and then it just poof, went away. I don't know about that. I don't know what happened with all that, but there's some seriously grievous abomination in the world, in that place that claims to be governed by Yah's laws and Torah. Obviously, that is not in keeping with his Torah. Like I don't have to be any special person to acknowledge that, And again, judgment is his, mercy is his. What he's going to do, he's going to do. And I don't want to speak against any of it or anyone, but if I'm solely guiding my opinions based off of the Torah and the walk that Messiah Yeshua had in Torah, and then looking at that place, it doesn't really appear to me that they've accepted Torah. And they certainly have not accepted Messiah Yeshua. That is quite well known. That's just a fact. And I think because of that, judgment will be extra severe, worse than 70 AD. And Yeshua says as much. He's like, oh no, the time's coming at the end of the age, at the consummation, the tribulation. It's going to be so bad. Nothing ever happened like that in all the world. So I'm not expecting things to go very well over there. I'm not expecting Yah to stretch out his hand and protect them while they continue to walk in wickedness. In how the Bible describes wickedness, it seems to me they're walking in it. So I don't expect him to reach his hand out and protect them for doing that. But it will lead to confusion in Christianity because they're all expecting that. Because of bad doctrine, because of not understanding the way of Yah, not understanding him at all. And then after it comes on them, it's going to come on Islam and it's going to come on Christianity. So do you think the U.S. will be completely destroyed as well? I don't know about completely destroyed. But it ain't going to be good here, I don't believe. Like, this place is plenty wicked in and of itself. And in my opinion, we're just the daughter of the mother of harlots. I think there's going to be judgment on this nation. It talks, when it says the people wail at the smoke of her burning from afar, like, could be Jerusalem, could be the U.S., could be both. I believe that, and we've been seeing it. Like, look on the news, people. Historic flooding, historic drought, historic fire, historic tornado outbreak, historic hail, historic earthquake, historic everything. Just in the last few months, it's overwhelming how many historic things we have had today. And the San Andreas Fault in California, I just saw a video about this like yesterday. They just had like 5-6 earthquakes up the line. And they don't have them like that. They don't have them that shallow. Like, I believe there's going to be some extremely bad weather events that destroy this place. If not bombs going off here, who knows? But I wouldn't be shocked if judgment came on this nation as well. In fact, I'm expecting it. I don't know how bad it's going to be. I don't think everybody in this nation is going to be destroyed. I don't. Obviously, there's a church he says that he's going to protect, and a lot of us that are trying to keep his way are in this country. There might be a safe haven. There might be him just looking out for us individually where we're at while destruction happens everywhere around us. He might whisk some of us up and take us on a second Exodus before, during, or after all of it goes bad. Like, I don't know. I don't have my hand placed on the end times events, but I know that if we want to survive it, we need to draw near to him. And we draw near to him by listening to him and by doing what he asked us to do to the best of our ability. That comes with working on yourself, ridding yourself of anger, of covetousness, of lust, of whatever. Like, we need to work on those things. Like, it seems like a never-ending battle, but we need to at least get in the fight, you know? So we need to work on ourselves. Whatever you have power over in your life, have power over it in a just way. Maybe it's just your family, right? Be just over your family. Be a biblical husband. Be a biblical wife. Be a biblical mother. Be a biblical father. Like, whatever you have power over, whatever he gave you to steward over, do it to the best of your ability in a biblical way, and do it from a kind, pure, loving heart where you want to do it. You want to be a good steward over what he's given you. You know, you want to not be any kind of crappy way about it. You want to do it well. What he gave you, you want to do it well. So whatever you do have power over, do your best. And you can't control how other people are going to act or feel about that, but you can work on yourself, you know. Keep Torah to the best of your ability. Avoid the things he told us not to eat. Now, I don't know. If you go out and eat a cheeseburger at McDonald's, I don't know if you're breaking the dietary laws. McDonald's is sus to me, and I haven't eaten there in years now. But, like, I can't tell you if you eat a cheeseburger at McDonald's, you're breaking Torah. I don't know. Follow your own convictions on that. But you shouldn't eat pork. You shouldn't eat, pig bacon. You shouldn't eat lobster or shrimp. Like, so avoid them. Right? If you are eating something and you discover that there's something in it unclean, just stop eating it. Be like, okay, sorry, my bad. I apologize. I don't want to keep, I'll find something else. Keep Sabbath to the best of your ability and understand. I know in the Torah community, we're all over the map on Sabbath. There's sunrise to sunset, evening to evening, sunrise to sunrise. There's lunar Sabbath. There's solar Sabbath. There's it is overwhelming even with that. But you know what? However you think that you can keep Sabbath in a biblical way, do it. Do it to the best of your ability and understanding. I do believe there's grace in that for us when we're trying, but we don't know. And how could we possibly know the full truth in this world? We are discovering everything is a lie. It's all a lie. Everybody knows this now too. They've seen the extent of the lies. So, there's got to be some grace in it for us, I'm not the one that gives grace. Don't put all your eggs in any basket I'm telling you about. But I believe that there's grace in those things when we just don't know, when we're really honestly trying to do the best we can, and we just don't know. So, I bet there's going to be plenty of lunar Sabbath people that enter the kingdom, and I don't agree with lunar Sabbath at all, right? I don't, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Keep Sabbath to the best of your understanding and ability. Keep his feast days to the best of your understanding and ability. Keep the dietary laws to the best of your understanding and ability. Work on yourself to the best of your understanding and ability. Be a good steward over whatever it is he's put you over, whether it's a lot or a little. Be a good steward over it. Try to conduct yourself in a biblical way. Try not to seek your own glory when you're doing something good. And it's hard. It's challenging. I struggle with it all the time, you guys. I am not preaching to the choir on this one. I need to work on myself. I drop the ball, and it grieves me. I wish I could just wake up tomorrow and never sin again. I would love it if that could happen. I would love it to wake up and know, this is exactly how you keep Sabbath. And to do my due diligence to always do it, never drop it. I would love that. But we're in a world that is filled with lies, where things have been concealed from us, and where the water has been so muddied, people don't know which direction is up anymore. So just do the best you can with what you got. Do your best. I'm going to try to do my best, and I'm going to pray for mercy and grace with the rest of it, and of which I need a lot. especially since I'm teaching the word to people. I need extra grace for that, you know, because teachers are held to a higher standard, and it's a scary concept when you really acknowledge that. It's terrifying. You know, if I drop the ball and if I preach my own way instead of his way, it doesn't just affect me anymore. It affects my family. It affects you. It affects the people in your families. It affects them and their family. It affects the whole world. I can potentially sway thousands upon thousands of people's way of life by coming up here and preaching the word. And that is a massive, massive responsibility. So I need plenty of grace, because I don't think I've always done it in the best way that I could. I don't believe I've preached anything unbiblical or the wrong way. But you know what? Neither does anybody else. You know, no pastor out there thinks he's preaching lies. Even when you can show him he is, they don't believe they're preaching lies. They don't believe they're leading anyone astray or off the path. So, you know, I'm trying to do my best here. But at the end of the day, if you read the word of Yah and he says, do this and don't do this, and you say, yes, sir, I'd be happy to, you'll be in a better spot, in my opinion. Like, you'll be in a better spot. And I don't think we have very long to figure it out, you guys. So just work on yourselves, you know, and let's stop throwing stones over things that we can't know for sure. And let's work on the things that we can know for sure, and the things that are in our power, you know. Anyways, that's where I'm at, and I love you guys. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to me, sheepdogministries@hotmail.com. I am hoping to get that marriage study out for you guys soon on my YouTube. I have it prepared. We just haven't had time to do it. And again, we'll see where we're at with the other studies. It's been quite a few weeks for me. Like, a lot's been going on, and you know, this isn't like a woe is me thing. I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to garner I wouldn't mind your prayers and support, but I'm not trying to make it all about me. Like, people do that in grief all the time. They make it's about me. Worship me, treat me good. I can do no wrong. Doesn't matter how crappy I am. Like, treat me good. Like, that's how a lot of people deal with it. And I'm trying not to do those things. But at the end of the day, there has still been a lot going on, and I haven't had time to get my other studies done. And I know a lot of you on YouTube follow those, so I'm sorry. I hope to have those up for you soon, Yah willing, but it might yet be a few weeks. So anyways, just sorry about that. But I do want to do that marriage study for you guys very, very soon, because I think it could benefit a lot of you. So me and my wife are going to try to do that hopefully early next week. I don't know. I'll put up a video on YouTube on TikTok and YouTube and let you guys know when it's coming, but hopefully soon. Anyways, other than that, I will read your emails. I'm behind on a few emails. So sorry if I didn't address your prayer requests yet. I'm still working on it. I'll update the prayer request list. Again, those of you men, join the men's Discord, chat with each other, make friends. Let's bear one another's burdens. Let's strengthen each other. Let's encourage each other. You know, and if it's only through Discord, it's only through Discord. But hey, at least it's something. Like, I'd rather chat with you guys through apps or whatever than not have anybody at all. So join the group. There's a women's group too. I have no idea how active that is or what's going on in that one. I don't know. Not my thing. Probably nothing going on in that one, to be honest with you. But I don't know why people, you know, like, I know it's hard to have like online relationships and online stuff. I get it. But for those of us that don't have anything but that, let's at least try to strengthen what we got, you know? So anyways, just saying, there is still a men's and a women's Discord. Perhaps look into it. Perhaps try to make some friends in there and talk about it. How about a WhatsApp group? Well, maybe might need to do that. I don't know. I need to figure something out. You know, we need to strengthen our community online. And you know, Yah willing, if this world does keep going on, which I don't think it's going to for much longer, but Yah willing, if it does keep going on, I wouldn't mind having an actual community. Like I'm I'm close to selling all my stuff and moving somewhere to have a church with like-minded believers where we can actually break bread on the Sabbath together in the feast days. I'm close to that. So I'm gonna ride it out for a bit longer, but you know, we all could use some community, and if all we have is online community, let's invest in it. You know, let's try to chat with each other. Let's try to pray for each other. Let's try to make friends. Like I would love it if some of you in the chat were like, "Hey, I'm blah blah blah, and I'm blah blah blah." Like let's talk on the phone. Let's become best friends. Like I would love that for you guys. You know, I want people to make friends. I want you to have somebody to call and talk to when you're going through a rough time in your life, somebody that you know you can trust, somebody that you know you can rely on, and you can have that even across just phone, you know, online relationships or phone calls or texting. You can have that. So I would love it if you guys just, you know, would be part of these Discord groups, or talk to each other privately, share phone numbers, you know, share email, whatever. Like, I only have online community right now, and it is hard. You know, I love that I have it. It's better than nothing, but I seek real in-person fellowship, you know, and it's hard to come by when we're all scattered everywhere. So if we have this, if this is all we have, let's try to make the most of it. We can still talk to each other. You can still make friends. Anyways, off my soapbox about it, but I would love to see you guys making friends with each other and, you know, chatting and using the Discord, making use of the space and reaching out to me and reaching out to each other. And, you know, anyways, just my hopes, but Yah willing, we will live in a world that is just one giant fellowship and community. I desire that so bad. Oh, you guys, I desire that so bad. And I think it's closer than we think, which is why we need to fall in line with the way and the will of Yah to the best of our ability before Messiah Yeshua gets here, before judgment is rendered and there's no chance for repentance. So let's try, you know, and let's pray for each other that we are able to do it, that we're able to endure till the end, that we don't stumble off the path, that we, you know, don't do the things we know better to not do. Like, let's do it, you know, to the best of our ability. So, and it helps when we're all sharing the load. It does, you know. So just keep, if nothing else, keep each other in prayers. Pray for me. Pray for your brothers and sisters. Pray for the people on the prayer request list. Pray for the people who aren't on the prayer request list. Like, let's pray with each other. Let's be there for one another, because it's a hard walk. It is a really, really hard walk. And it's not because of anything Yah asked us to do. It's because this world makes it hard. This world wants darkness. They don't want your light. They don't want his light. You know, this world wants darkness. This world wants sin, and it's not good. And they make it hard to walk in righteousness. Not Yah. Like, the way he wants us to walk is holy, righteous, good, awesome, and beneficial to us in every way, shape, or form, spiritually and physically. But they don't want you to do it. So they throw everything they can at you to keep you from doing it. Sometimes even the members of your own family do that. But we can't drop the ball if we want the kingdom. Like, if we're at the very end, most people don't make it. Because they want the darkness. They don't want the light. And they know better. They should have known better. And yet they still continue to walk in it and support it and profess wickedness, you know. So anyways, let's separate ourselves from iniquity as much as possible. I love you guys. Thank you for everything. The prayers, the support. Some of you tithe. I appreciate that. I don't ask for it. But some of you tithe, I appreciate that. And right now I'm still trying to collect some money for Pastor Kapule. He's got some stuff going on financially over there in Uganda. So any of your tithes that you've sent to me, I'm sending to him. So I appreciate that. But again, not necessary. I'm not trying to make money off the word of Yah. This should be preached and observed by all for free. It's good stuff. So Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the support. Yah willing, I will see you Tuesday night for our live stream. And then again, Yah willing, I'll get that marriage study up for you guys on my YouTube. It'll be on YouTube. It won't be here. But Yah willing, I'll get that up for you guys soon, and I'll let you know when it's coming. Anyways, for those of you that are new here, this will be restreamed on my YouTube tomorrow, the following day. So if you want to go back and catch it, it's all on my YouTube for now anyways. But I love you guys. I hope you have a blessed rest of your Shabbat. I hope you have a blessed rest of your week. Stand firm in the faith. Stand with each other. Work on yourselves. Pray for each other. In the meantime, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you wonderful peace. In the name of Messiah Yeshua. I love you guys so much. I hope to see you very, very soon. Yah willing, I will, hopefully. Love you guys. See you soon.